A file when ready.
What do we hear?
You are not a Star Cruiser.
Fire up the base cannon.
All right. It's your show.
No, it's not. It's not my show yet. I'm lied. I'm not ready.
We'll be back after these messages, people.
After
Stand by.
messages. After these
Please stand by.
messages.
Sorry.
I'm very confused as to what you're doing.
Yeah, me too.
A line of Coke, I think.
No, I had an issue with something on my headset. It's like unplugged itself.
There we go. Angie, I just got the notification you went live.
Okay, good. Awesome. Okay. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Gamer Grudge. Sorry for the funny introduction, but you guys know that's just our normal on this show. Today is a very special day. We are doing the tabletop edition of Gamer Grudge. Woo!
Woohoo!
Yeah.
Oh!
Before we get too started, let's go ahead and introduce our fighters. We will start with Jack.
Hello, I'm Jack. Hi, everybody. Nice to see you. Ready for some gaming fights.
Hi, Jack.
Hello.
And then Suzanne.
Hi, I'm Suzanne. With Nerds Garage.
And then Dylan.
Hello. Is it? Hello, camera.
There,
Oh, hello.
No, they
I'm
see you.
Dylan.
Don't worry. They see you.
If they don't, we have a problem.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. And then guesting on this show is our very own producer, Zero.
I'd be at work if I weren't under the weather, but hey.
And then
Are you
we
saying that
have...
being at work is preferable?
that's
No,
what I was
I'm saying I'm
catching.
What are
very
you saying?
No, I'm saying I'm very lucky.
Well, we hope you get to feeling better, Zero. And then for Zach, you're fact checking today, correct?
I am going to fact check as much as I can.
And then down there we have the one, the only Mac Pool. He is our temporary moderator, as Wolf is having some technical difficulties.
I guess I was just supposed to sit here and just chill and let y'all
Well, you
fight.
know what?
And look
Co-producer here says you're a temporary moderator until Wolf can come back. So
Chat comments. Yeah, I guess I'm gonna be in the chat, people, talking with you for change and having fun with you guys. It's gonna be fun. And
so feel
also,
free to pick on Mac if you would like.
Especially for his spelling.
I will type "fuck off," but I'm not gonna do that.
Capital F.
Fuck off, but it will look like stuff.
Okay, well here we go right here. No,
Do you want to go ahead and do your montage?
no. Do you want to know go over the rules?
That would be awesome.
All right, let's go over the rules.
The rules.
The rules.
I can't read that.
All right, folks, here are the rules. There are going to be 4 rounds with 1 question per round. The point will then be awarded to the fighter with the best argument. The 2 fighters with the most points will then advance to the PvP round. In the event of a tie, a tiebreaker will then commence in the form of quick bait and grudge quiz.
And we're playing for a new car, correct?
It might be a Hot Wheel, but yes.
Take it.
I mean, a Geo Metro, maybe?
Maybe.
Take it. Lego, take it.
Yeah.
There
Yeah.
we go.
And I will literally be doing it like Price is Right style. So there we go. Let's go.
Now you have to roll for initiative. Okay, it's tabletop.
Oh, wait, I
Oh,
got my
nice.
big dice.
I can do that.
Yes.
As a matter of
Alrighty,
fact,
folks. There will be 5 phases in this show. The first phase
I'm gonna
is
say
your
I did that one
introduction. The first phase is your introduction, where you guys will just simply state your answer, nothing more. Phase 2 is your declaration. You guys will have 3 minutes each to make your argument and state why you chose your answer. Phase 3 is the grudge. You guys have 5 minutes for an all-out battle. Phase 4 is the last minute, where the judge will ask one question and you guys have 1 minute to respond. And then phase 5 is the cleanup where we do our fact checking and then we give you guys our verdict.
Very nice.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. All right.
Is there a bakery called Jelly Roll for initiative?
There should be.
There needs to be
has
now.
to be.
You should copyright
Quick,
that.
yeah, somebody
Yeah,
copyright it now.
Quickly.
I would be so upset.
All
Do
right,
some
y'all
fact
ready?
checking.
Jelly roll for initiative. I'll take 2.
All right. Are y'all ready for the montage?
Montage mode.
That audio better be normalized.
It's normalized. I did my best.
I know it better be.
I don't hear any audio.
You don't hear it. They hear it.
Oh, good.
Oh.
Am I talking over it?
No. This is really. It should be. Oh, they're talking over it. You're talking.
Oh, poor Mercy.
And there goes Cuphead.
Overwatch 2.
Get me started. Do not get me started.
I mean, it is a fight, so getting you started is sort of
I
what we
know.
gotta do.
All right. Well.
That's really weird.
All right, Angie, it's your show. Come on.
Alrighty, folks. Are you ready for the first question?
Yes, ma'am.
Do it.
Alrighty, question 1 is.
Okay, I gotta find that.
Oh, I am sorry. Hold on. That text is very okay. What is the best tabletop game for beginners? And we will start with Suzanne.
Wingspan.
Ooh,
All
there's
right.
pictures.
Ooh.
Aw, she's so
And
pretty.
then Jack.
I chose the classic game Checkers,
Yes! Yes!
much to Mac's delight.
And then Dylan.
I chose Catan.
No!
Luckily, Mac isn't judging.
I know he's.
There's a little bit
I'm
of
not saying
mean,
that he
he-
seems to have a favorite, but
I mean, he's silently
By the way.
judging all of us, but that's different.
By the way, because of high technical errors, Wolf is joining me on my screen.
Yay!
Alrighty, Wolf, we're glad to have you because Mac is probably going to goof up a little bit, so that's okay.
You're damn right I am.
Alrighty, Suzanne, you have 3 minutes to explain why you chose Wingspan, and your time starts now.
Thank you. Your honor. Wingspan is a great going from a tabletop game like a checkers or a chess, going to a heavier game. Wingspan is good because birds are relatable. It's a beautiful game. The actions repeat. So once you get through the first round, you can really learn the strategy. And there's so many different cards that are playable. There's many variables. There's dice involved. Everyone loves dice. It has a cute little birdhouse dice tower, which is adorbs. So you're also learning card drafting, set collection, and dice play. And it is a great intro into the heavier Euro games. And I probably have like a minute and a half left. But...
You actually have 2 minutes left.
Right.
But that is okay. You don't have to use the full 3 minutes if you don't want to. That is A-okay.
If that is all, you just say that's all, and we move on.
That is all.
Alrighty, Jack, your 3 minutes starts now.
Well, I think Suzanne said something real great for me here, and that is, going from checkers. It's a great game to go from checkers. That means the game before Wingspan that you should play is the 10th century classic checkers. That's right. It's been around since the 10th century and possibly even before. Started as an Arabic game, was taken by in the UK. It's called Droughts in the UK. But checkers is the most is a simple introduction into board games that anyone can play. It's a 2-player game. Each player takes turns. They move diagonally. You can jump other pieces. The first player to clear off all of their opponent's pieces on the board wins the game. Simple is what you want for a beginner, and that's really the key here. You want a game that is easy to play. Wingspan is chock full of pieces. There's over like 200 pieces in the Wingspan set. Rules abound. We'll talk a little bit about Dylan's after he mentions it, but the point being here, guys, is that when you want to sit down and teach someone and get them into board gaming, you want to give them something simple with very few rules, a very short playing time so that they can get in, absorb, have a good time, and then play the game again because it only took 20 minutes to get through. So checkers is really the classic starting game. It's been around so long, everyone has a checker set. It's usually everyone's first game. Everyone kind of has one in their closet. I have one in my closet. So checkers.
All righty. Dylan, your 3 minutes starts now.
So, you could obviously play a wonderful game about watching birds, or an old person's game. Or you could go for a game that's basically a combination of Risk and Monopoly. This game has everything a beginner could want. What's better than a board game other than dice? Teaching them how to manage cards. Pretty simply, it's a simple management game compared to many other management games. The board is fun. It changes every game, so it's never the same board, unlike a certain checkered board, which is always the same. This one, you can literally play it maybe 20 times and never have the same board.
Snap.
But for me, my personal favorite is it is a very fun cooperative game at first, but then it can turn into the best friend backstabbing game there is once you get better at it. So it's great for teaching people how to play games, how to teach them cooperative games, and how to teach them how to stab people in the back in board games.
All right. I love the pre-grudge in these arguments too. You guys are amazing. And speaking of grudge, you guys now have 5 minutes to tear each other's arguments apart, and it starts now.
Look, I'm just gonna get right in here.
Hold on.
Hang on. I have to say, Risk and Monopoly, you're going to compare Catan to Risk and Monopoly? Those are like 3-hour games. Hey, friends, I'm going to teach you to get into board games.
They're the best of both of those. They are the best of both. And
by the way,
has played
not
those
everybody has checkers. It's so boring. I've thrown it out.
Everyone has checkers.
It is the most boring game.
It is not boring. You're talking to beginners. You want look, it's a beginner game.
They want to be able to play games again. You don't want to say games are boring.
You know how big the rule book is for checkers? There is no rule book. It's on the back of the friggin' box. Suzanne literally has 3 rule books in her game. 3! And Catan has one giant manual with like 20 pages.
They're on linen paper. They're so beautiful you could frame them. I have taught 9-year-olds how to play Wingspan.
Oh, here's the box. Let's see. I can pick either red or black. Okay. I put them on the diagonal pieces, and then I jump.
Most people
and
can't
I
be
make
challenged
kings.
more than checkers. All I can choose of is a red square or a black square. No, people are more advanced than that. I think after maybe 9 minutes, you're done with checkers. Wingspan, I've had it since January. I've played 42 games. And I've taught 20 games, ages 16.
But was it your first game? Of course it wasn't your first game. No one played. Wingspan just came out this year. Well, it just came out this year. But even Catan.
My first game was Stratego. It wasn't checkers. It was more strategy than oops, queen me. No.
Well, I guess my mom loved me when I was a kid. She played checkers with me. It was the first game I ever got to play. So... Look, checkers, the whole point here is the question. The question is asking you for a beginner game. And I'm not saying that Wingspan isn't good. I'm not saying that Catan isn't good. Both of these are excellent games. But you're introducing these games to a beginner.
I consider it like a time kill or for...
Yeah, but I have one factor that beats both of your games pretty much completely.
Go ahead,
and that's just fun factor.
True. There's
Oh,
no
checkers
fun in
is a
checkers.
fun game. Yes, sir.
It
Checkers
is
is a
not.
lot
Boring.
of fun.
You know what the punchline to a joke in a movie is? An old person playing
Playing
checkers at a
checkers.
park.
True story.
Well, technically they play chess at a park, but checkers is the precursor to chess. It leads into to
Technically,
chess.
you've been to every
It's-
park.
It's the game
It's
that
the
leads
old
you
person's
into other
game.
games.
You want something fun
Checkers
that they'll
te-
enjoy.
Checkers A is fun. B, it teaches you skills like strategy that you use in
Catan
other
teaches
games.
it better.
Look, the
Well,
point
maybe
though
not, but
is,
It teaches
when you-
more skills: management, strategy, negotiation.
but here's the difference.
And it's a
My
two-person
wife, who does
game.
not
Why
play
don't we
board
get
games,
5 people together in the family to play a game.
but here's
Two
the thing.
people?
Well, I'm teaching a beginner, so if my wife comes in and she's not really a board game person, the last thing she's going to want to
And she
do
just
is
got
sit
out of the
through
hospital and doesn't
is-
feel good, and she can only
is
move
sit
one
through
arm.
30 minutes of me reading, trying to figure out which of the 3 manuals Wingspan has to tell
And
her
that's
how to
why
play the
Catan's the
game.
best.
One is Automa, so that doesn't even count.
Catan is the same thing. The problem with your games is the sheer number of
You have
pieces and the long
paralysis
play
from
time.
instructions. You need to be a better teacher then.
The
Yeah.
Wingspan has
They never
300
teach me.
pieces. There's eggs. There's
Don't
the
need to
there's
change
the dice.
direction.
There's all the different birds. And first of all, I have to be into birds, which I'm not into birds at all. And then with
Neither was
Catan,
I.
with Catan, there's wood and there's all the resources. You have the cards. You have all the tiles.
You have little circles.
Basic resource
That is
I have a
reading for
single board.
years.
I
It's
have a single
boring.
board.
But you know what? You're not learning anything from it from strategy.
I
It's
completely disagree. Checkers is definitely a strategy game. They developed it in the 10th
I
century
just
to
said
be a
you're not
strategy
learning
game.
anything but strategy. That's
Sure,
all
you're learning how to
learning.
have a good time and play with others. You're learning to enjoy the company of other people.
I
And,
will
and
bet
have a good
$100
time.
right now. If you put a 10-year-old right here and we played, they'd be on
I
their
have a
phone.
10-year-old. Would you like me
I
to get
know.
her?
I know.
Because her
All right.
first game
All
was
right.
checkers.
Or Wingspan. Let's see what she'd be more engaged with.
The colorful one. It's not about
It's
birds.
not that those games are not fun. They're not your starter game. When you put Wingspan down and
Where
when you
does
put
it say
Catan down,
starter? I don't. It was the,
the
best
question
tabletop.
literally
No. Best tabletop game for beginners. It's not your first game. It's
for
the
beginners,
best.
that's people who don't play games regularly. So people new to board games.
It's not a starter game. You're talking about an intro to gaming.
It's I'm taking a beginner and teaching them how to play a board game.
And that is time, folks.
Thank you, Angie.
Yeah.
Well done.
That was fun.
You guys tore each other up.
Yeah.
Did we?
It's not gamer hug. It's
Yeah,
gamer
it's not.
crush.
Did you hear our opening statements? What did you expect?
And I would like a side bet. I want to teach your daughter Wingspan.
No, Catan.
It's our Catan and see which one she finds a more fun game.
Well, unfortunately, she's not going to be here to judge this round and give me the point for checkers.
All right.
Biased favoritism is not appreciated.
Zach, do you have a question?
Do I have a question? Not really. Just mostly bizarre facts. about it.
I
I
need to go look at the rule book. I don't actually know how many pages it is. I just know it's a thin rule book.
Zero, do you have any questions for them?
Okay. I think I got one.
Okay.
Out of each of your games, which do you feel would leave more of a lasting impression after the game is finished?
Ooh, I like that one.
I think it would go Wingspan, Catan, Checkers.
Oh, we're putting them in order?
Well, I am.
You
this
can
one's
put them in
gonna be
order, or
odd.
you can give a detailed explanation of why you feel
This one's odd.
your game is.
I'm gonna Wingspan, Catan, Checkers, because after playing Wingspan, I hated it.
It made an impression.
It made a really big impression of I never want to play it again.
I would go. I would probably go Checkers, Catan, Wingspan because of the progression.
Have you
I
played
think-
Wingspan?
I'm familiar with Wingspan. I have not actually had a chance to play Wingspan, but that doesn't mean anything. You've played my game, I assume, have you not?
Not in so long because it bores
But
the shit out of me.
you've played checkers, correct?
Probably in middle school.
Hey Dylan, have you played checkers?
I don't think so. I think it was always chess.
True story.
Mickey only told me chess. I don't think I've ever played checkers.
You're missing out.
Okay.
But checkers,
Okay.
checkers,
Think about that for a second.
Catan, Wingspan. I
Settle.
think each
Settle,
game's
please.
bring you to the next one.
Settle, please. All right. Well, you guys just pretty much answered all that really quick. So we'll just go straight to the facts. Zach?
I mean, nobody said anything was true except Jack. It's
Which fact are you?
it's pronounced draft.
Oh, draft.
It's not drought. It's draft.
Yeah.
Other than that, I mean, everybody was being factual. So,
All right. Do you have an opinion on who won?
okay, all I can really give is my perspective. Dylan, I'm right there with you. I didn't learn checkers till I was like 12.
I didn't.
I learned chess and cards and backgammon and all that stuff first, and checkers has bored me to tears ever since because it's too simple.
All right. And Zero?
To be honest, as I listen to all of these arguments, I see that with Wingspan, it's definitely more akin to like definitely beginners Dungeons and Dragons, whereas where there's not much confrontation, more as outside of researching the bird you're looking into.
Sure.
Checkers. Well, I'm sorry. I'm definitely counting that one out of my judgment because while it's simple, it follows the same design as chess. That's the reason why chess kind of evolved out of it. It's simple, but there's so much depth with the strategy that a beginner can easily get lost into it. Because moving your pieces around isn't just as simple as, oh, I take a corner hop. There is still a bunch of strategy going into it. And so for me, it's between Catan and Wingspan, and beginners for board games wouldn't exactly have that much time for a game of Catan because, again, you said it's very much like Monopoly in some aspects, whereas like with Wingspan being, as I've researched, a bit of a D&D light, you can get something rolling in like that lasts only 45 minutes to kind of whet someone's appetite. So I'm giving my point to Wingspan.
Okay, got to make it a whole tie for me over here, huh?
Well,
We can
there
make
is
it
the
a
wolf in
three-way
here.
tie by choosing checkers.
Hey, Angie, does
Yes.
the wolf
And then
in
Matt
any
could break
input?
the tie, and he's totally not biased at all towards checkers.
Yes, Wolf. What is Wolf's opinion?
You guys can hear me okay, right? Because I'm behind him.
Right.
Okay, cool. So, as somebody who, our major convention of the year is a tabletop convention. And let me just say, starting out, I abhor tabletops. I absolutely hate them. They are boring as hell. But obviously, everything has to have a fair shake. I'm sorry, Angie.
It's okay. I'll survive.
I'm sorry. I grew up with an Atari joystick in my hands. I'm sorry. But hearing everybody, and of course, I was researching on Zero's phone because mine is dead and charging upstairs. Researching what I could. And that's one thing that I've noticed being at a con where it's tabletop is that there are a lot of folks that come into the dealer's room and start playing up a game. And I've seen these guys explain the rules to people who have never played these games before. And these games go on for hours and hours and hours. I would be years to be like, okay, I'm going to go do something else now. Checkers is checkers, and like a lot of other people have said, it's extremely simple. Yes, it's a good beginner game for like a 5-year-old. I don't think that's the purpose of this grudge, is like a good beginner's game for a little kid. It's a good beginner's game for somebody who's not like myself, who's not into tabletop, who's not really into that kind of thing and would be bored very easily. Like checkers, I already kind of know, like, okay, yeah, I get across the other board, king me, and then I come back and I try to massacre as much as I can. Very simple. That's, great and all, but and then Catan, like he said, can get extremely long. And I've seen people play Catan at the con, and it takes forever for them to explain to their table mates, oh, now you have to roll this and figure out this much. And it's just like, that's so boring. Like her explaining Wingspan, I'm like, oh, that actually sounds kind of interesting. I can get behind that. And it's short and it's sweet. And there's no confrontation, which I'm not a big confrontation person either. So
That's true.
my point goes to Wingspan. It's short and sweet, and it seems like something I, as somebody who doesn't even like tabletop, would want to try out.
All right. And Mac. Oh, I'm scared.
Who takes the drink first?
Oh man, that's good. Drink responsibly, kids. Okay. I have heard all the deliberations. I understand that look. It's all about the simplicity of the argument. I do agree that Catan seems something that seems so hard to grasp. When I kept hearing from him, Catan just felt like something like, oh, Monopoly combined with this. I was like, I play Monopoly every once in a while. When I was a kid, Monopoly was hard to get to grasp. You had to play it a long time, and I got pissed off when somebody got on Park Place or something. So when you said Monopoly, I was like, okay, yeah, you threw me out the loop, and you're out the argument from me. So that took you out. So it came down between checkers and Wingspan. Jack, I love some checkers. Checkers is just so simple. It's the simplest of games. It's a simple game. It's simple, but the question was best tabletop for beginners. And while checkers is a great is a tabletop, I do tend to agree with what Wolfie said here. It is technically just for babies, not for the adult, because if you're an
Babies,
adult.
for shame.
Hush. Let the man talk.
I do want to look. I want to pick checkers, but after hearing and deliberating the arguments, I got to go with Wingspan.
Nice job.
Good job,
Right.
Mom.
And I also concur. I will go with Wingspan because with your arguments, how you explained it, Jack, you explained it as more of like it's really simple, but I feel like checkers is just a little too simple for a beginner. And with Dylan, I feel like Catan is a great introduction for, say, Dungeons and Dragons, like when you're sitting at a table with your group of friends. But I also feel it might be a little too complicated for a beginner, where I feel Wingspan is the happy medium that we're going for a beginner. So, Suzanne, you get the point for the first round.
Wingspan looks awesome. I can't wait to try it.
I do it.
It is
I'm gonna
awesome.
just bring up this one point. A
Yes, sir.
core version of Wingspan right now that for the revised edition is $60.
Oh, wow.
No, go to Stonemeyer Games. Don't go to
That I'm just looking.
on Stonemeyer Games.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah,
That's
that for
so
because
funny,
there's the
my
early
sister
edition and there's the
on Zero's
revised
phone was
edition.
saying, like,
Right.
And
and the-
Catan is like $35.29 on Amazon, and
Well, it depends which Catan you're gonna get. There's like
the base one.
Obviously, the base.
Let's see. Wolfie, what are they saying in the chat?
She honestly does not have.
I don't
Better
know.
to ask Mac about chat.
All right.
Mac, how are they doing in the chat?
All right. Nightpack says he likes Warhammer 4K.
That is
40K.
definitely not beginner.
Oh my god, that's
It's
not a beginner game.
amazing.
Yeah. He hit. That's his pick. And me and old white trucker D&D adventurer just get into a rant. I was sitting,
Oh no!
we were just talking with each other, and he says, he said in the beginning, changing boards, and then I said, yep, this is so fun not judging right now. And he says, not judging, laughing, yes, I usually am a judge. This will be a nightmare. Chaos, hi, and I said, yeah. Never played checkers. The private childhood said, what? Checkers is the shit.
Alrighty. Mac, wrap it up.
What he said Wingspan for the
Mac.
Okay.
We just need the bullet points, bro.
You'll have to forgive Mac. He's a little intoxicated.
I'm not that much intoxicated.
Let us move on to question 2.
Okay.
Which is
Where are you, Zach? Why does it
it is what video game character would make the best DM? And for those of you at home who do not know what a DM is, DM stands for Dungeon Master. That is the person in charge of a Dungeons and Dragons campaign. All righty, and
hear these arguments.
and we will start off with Jack on this one.
I have chosen Geralt of Rivia from the Witcher series.
Yes! I just want to say that.
All righty, and next is Dylan.
I have chosen Tiny Tina from Borderlands.
Woo!
Love that picture.
Yeah,
All righty, and Suzanne.
I have proudly picked Bowser from Mario Kart.
Woo! Not biased.
Wait, Mario Kart?
Oh, look at him. He looks so good.
Bowser from Mario Kart.
You don't need to laugh and make fun of it now. I'll do that when I'm arguing.
Okay.
That's the only one she's played.
All righty. Jack, your 3 minutes for your argument starts now.
All right, so if you've never played the Witcher series, Witcher is a fantasy game. Geralt of Rivia is like a monster hunter. For hire. He goes around traveling the land, and when there's a monster that needs to be killed, he's the one who does it. So as a Witcher, he has a huge bestiary of monsters at his disposal. There's actually like 11 different categories of monster: necrophages, specters, beasts, cursed ones, hybrids, insectoids, elementa, relics, ogroids, dragonids, and vampires. And then within each of those categories, like necrophages, for example, has 20 creatures. There's hundreds of creatures that he's familiar with. He knows how to kill them. He knows the things that you need to do to kill them. So the bestiary he's got locked down. And then, of course, he's an adventurer. So he's seen lots of dungeons. He's killed monsters in all sorts of places: towns, crypts, caves, dungeons, of course. And then he's no stranger to magic. One of his best friends, Yennefer, is a sorceress, so she's very familiar with magic. He uses magic to fight the monsters, so he understands that. And then he's involved in the political world of the humans, from Nilfgaard to Novigrad, Velen to Skellige. He is no stranger to the political workings of human intrigue. So basically, he's got your NPCs locked down. He knows how to be different characters. He deals with shopkeepers all the time, peasants and lords and guards. So he's familiar with every type of character and every type of monster that you would see in a D&D game. He's the perfect dungeon master. He lives it. He can sit down with a good old set of dice, and you'll have a fantastic time playing D&D with Geralt. Can't hear you, Angie. But thanks for beeping me.
There we go. I said, wow, that's awesome. Let's see. Next is Dylan. Your 3 minutes starts now.
So, Tiny Tina, the slightly very insane demolition expert from Borderlands 2. What she could bring to being a DM is far more important than being in an actual fantasy world, because she lives in a crazy, insane world of guns and monsters. She can tell stories, bring people together, and have any accent you could ever want for a character. In Borderlands, she has been known many times to bring the strangest people together around tables to play games. She can tell stories of many adventures they've been on with a kind of insane twist, bringing their shootouts to more sword fighting. She can basically talk to anyone May they be completely insane or completely sane, and keep them enthralled in whatever crazy story she's telling. Also, to go on top of that, she... how can I put this? She's not a really old guy who barely talks. She likes to just talk to people. That's my main thing, is she talks to people and can bring people together.
All righty. Suzanne, your 3 minutes starts now.
Okay. Bowser from Mario Kart. If you look at the instruction manual, it says that he is the, in quotes, the Sorcerer King. He is knowledgeable. He is familiar with dungeons. He knows black magics, which means he is familiar with teleporting, summoning objects, telekinesis, metamorphosis. He works with heroes to create the greater evil to in the game. So as a DM, he would be able to weave a good story together because he has the experience of all the abilities of the magic and to weave the story with good and evil. He is a leader. He is not young. He is not old. It is not said, but he is absolutely familiar with being able to control the situation, which makes a great DM. When something comes up, you have to be able to know what the maps are, where it leads. You have to know ahead of time, and that's what he does. He builds the maps in the dungeons.
All right. Very good points out of all you. Thank you very much. And now we are on to the grudge match. You guys now have 5 minutes to tear up each other's arguments, starting now.
All right. Listen, I thought you'd pick like Super Mario 1, 2, 3, Super Mario World. You picked Mario Kart, Bowser? Like, he makes racetracks. He doesn't even make dungeons in Mario Kart.
Hey.
He's not a sorcerer in that. He's a driver.
Can I say something? Your character doesn't speak in full sentences. It's fragmented sentences.
That is absolutely not true, and that can be fact-checked. He has the most dialogue in the entire game.
All right. What I looked up, it said he cannot speak in complete sentences. He grunts.
I hate to tell you that your information is wrong. That is absolutely not true. Geralt of Rivia has
the game or the movie?
We're talking the game. He talks.
Okay, in the game, he talks in fragmented.
I hate to tell you this. You've never played The Witcher 3 because he literally has all the dialogue. He has the most dialogue.
I don't play online games.
He has like 10 hours of dialogue in that thing. He speaks the most.
Here's the counter argument to that. He does have the most dialogue because he's the main character, but when he speaks,
that is not true. He does not. He is not a man of
few words.
I'm sorry. This will have to be fact check.
Hold on, Dylan. Your character is a tween.
Well,
a tween with an attitude. How is a tween with an attitude?
She's a tween in one of them. She's grown up in others.
I hate to be ageist here, but why does their age even matter? That's not the reason Tiny Tina's not a good choice. She had her DMing chance. The DLC Assault on Dragon Keep is literally Tiny Tina trying to run a DM game, and she's terrible at it. The very first major encounter is the Invincible Dragon boss. All of the players are like, Tina, we can't beat the invincible boss at the beginning of the adventure.
All right, I don't know all that stuff. I haven't played these games. I have played Dungeons and Dragons, and I do know what it takes to be a DM. You need to be able to control the scene, control your attitude, and when something comes at you, you need to be able to switch. You need to be able to adapt. And Bowser,
which is exactly what happens in Dragon Keep. She switches, adapts, and makes sure everyone is having fun the entire time.
They're constantly complaining. They
are laughing and having fun the entire time.
They are complaining constantly.
She doesn't have the knowledge of magic, telekinesis. These are things she needs to have.
But Bowser from Mario Kart doesn't do any of those things. He rides a cart. He throws mushrooms, or he throws bananas and turtle shells at people. That's what he does in Mario Kart. If you had picked one of the ones where he designs a dungeon castle, I might be able to see it. But even then, like, and Tiny Tina, they complain the entire time about the way she's running the game, and it's really just
You're forgetting the
cathartic
fact
way.
about how much fun they're having though while they play it.
Geralt's having fun too.
True.
He's
True.
slaying monsters
Have
throughout the
definitely
entire
slaying.
game, and
He
he's
is a
casting spells.
Genetically modified
venturing.
monster hunter who just kind of emotionlessly kills. Would you like an nearly
Again,
emotionless
I
DM?
admit, your
question whether
character
you
would
have
be
played
a
it.
great person to play as a character in Dungeons and Dragons, but not the DM.
I question, first of all, that either of you have played The Witcher 3. I can tell
Am
right
I
away
not
that you
right? Wrong.
haven't.
That Witchers kind of don't really have much emotions anymore.
And you have to have that.
He
You
is
have
filled with
to have
emotions.
that.
He's having
Oh,
sex at the
inward-
beginning of the
inward emotions
game.
don't come out. It has to
He
be.
laughs and shows emotion. He's chasing down Yennefer, his main love. In the whole beginning of the game, he's searching for the woman that he loves.
That
He's not
doesn't make a
passion.
DM.
He's
kind
not
of a married
passionless.
Have you
DM
even heard his
character.
laugh? No, it's the entire time. It's
I don't
kinda
believe
like
you
an
guys
empty
have.
shell.
Your only argument is that he doesn't talk, and he talks through the entire game, so I don't
Well, now
really know
you're
what else to
saying
say.
he's married.
The
How does a
argument
married
is
person
he
be
is
able
not
to-
married. He is
He's
not
not
married. He'll
fun.
sleep with anything.
You
He's
just said
So he is absolutely
married.
not.
fun.
He's not
That is
married to
definitely not a
Yennefer
DM I
in
would
Witcher
want.
3.
No, from my experience with DMs, it doesn't matter the amount of information you have to play. Because if you have a rules lawyer for a DM, you will have no fun.
But you need to know what the
That's true.
characters are going to face. And that's the exact example with Tina. She has no idea what the players should be facing. They have to complain
She
and say,
does. It
Tina, the main boss isn't what you
learned
fight
it
at the
the entire
beginning of the
time,
adventure.
and in the
You fight
third
it at the
game-
end. They have
in the
her
third-
players teach her how to DM. Geralt knows how to do it.
The
He
DM
explains to
cannot
people.
be the drifter, the quiet type. It has
He's
to be.
not the quiet type.
But if we are bringing up Tiny Tina's DM experience in Borderlands 3, there's actually a good 30 minutes of them actually just playing perfectly through because she learned how to play better through the second
I do
game.
apologize. That is time.
Thank you.
Wow. All right. That was
I
quite
thought I
the
did
grudge
too.
match.
It's so hard to not want to pipe up.
I know. Zach, do you have a question for our fighters?
Nope.
Zero, do you have a question for our fighters?
I don't know. I think at this point we might just have commentary.
I got one, but I don't know if it's going to be good enough. So how about you go around, and if nobody has one, I'll ask.
All right, Mac, do you have a question that's related to this question?
Funny. I've been hearing about your how's your character's gonna be a dungeon, how your character can be a dungeon master. I want to know how would your dungeon master exactly get you through the game, because you got to finish the game. How will they get you through the game? Is that a good question?
Actually, that's a very good question,
It is.
Yes, it is.
because mine was almost akin to it. It's like
I was checking the chat. I'm sorry. What did you say?
okay. Good. Sorry to interrupt. We'll get to your answers in a quick minute. Mine was actually, how would your DM? We've been hearing your DMs and how they would be doing good with their DMing skills. How would they set up their campaign from beginning to middle to end?
I like both our questions.
So yeah, it's effectively same question, different wording.
Different
Yeah, it's
wording.
pretty much the same.
Which one you want? Choose which one you want, because
We'll go with how they would end the campaign, because I really want to hear how you guys think they'll end it. And we will start with Jack.
Well, The Witcher, Geralt is not actually is very familiar, with games himself. He plays Gwent in his own game, which is a tabletop card game. So he's very familiar with how games work, especially around a table. So he's going to sit and he's going to have his best friends there, and they're all going to play a game together. He'll probably have Cirilla, his ward, and You know, Yennefer will be there, and they'll, you know, he's going to take his friends through this adventure, and at the end, he's going to progressively be ramping up the monsters that they're going to face. He's going to understand the levels of their character and what they can handle as they progress through the game. And by the time that they get to the end, he'll have a very appropriate encounter that fits the level of the characters as they get there, and it'll involve all the different things like magic and sorcery and adventure that they've come to expect from living in the world and experiencing those things firsthand.
All righty. Dylan?
Tiny Tina would definitely end it. Probably less mechanically of an ending fight, but definitely more emotionally. Her stuff would definitely be more emotionally tied. The final boss would definitely have connection to the group she's playing with, and defeating it would give them a sense of accomplishment, happiness, and a good reflection on the losses during the game and the entire playthrough.
All right. And Suzanne?
Those are all lovely, and I'm needle pointing them right now. But Bowser would end it with a huge boss fight that it would be so intense. And the roll of the dice, you'd have to stand up and get away from the table and trying to figure out what's going on, and then to kill the creature, and everybody lives, and everybody's talking about it and tweeting it the next day. Like, can you believe that boss fight? Goddamn, Bowser, excuse me, is a great DM.
Wow. I love the enthusiasm.
Definitely passionate in that argument.
All righty. Zach, what are the facts?
Fact, Jack, it's called the bestiary. Not a bestiary.
Bestiary.
It's bestiary.
I've always called it bestiary. So
Yes. You've been wrong for a very long time.
I have.
Girl does speak quite a bit. It's more that it's more that's kind of chopped up between in the games. I mean, he actually even took on an accent that isn't his because he's not actually of Rivia, which is even more confusing. I will say that Bowser, while referred to as a sorcerer in the instruction manual of the original game, in the Mario Kart series, he's just basically the heaviest, but the highest speed. That's most of the data on him. And Tiny Tina, yeah, no, that's she has grown up some, but it really hasn't affected her personality at all.
Alrighty, and who do you think won?
I'm having a hard time with this one just because Geralt, I don't think Geralt is boring. I think he's bored. And I think those are two very different things.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to play a game run by somebody who's bored. And I also don't want to play a game, you know, run by a completely insane person, but I think it would be more interesting. And Bowser, honestly, he keeps on losing in Mario Party all the time, pretty much. That's close enough. Close enough. I'm gonna have to go with Tiny Tina just because at least I think I could get something interesting out of it.
No, I gotta get laundry.
All righty.
The correct answer is Patches from DS1, but you know.
You're wrong. You're wrong. I got my answer. I'll give you my answer.
You all could probably guess what it is already. Zero.
No,
what
it's not.
are your thoughts?
Well, I will say that all three of them had very different answers in terms of how a DM should be and why their character is and or could be a DM. I do have to agree with Zach on the fact that Geralt is not so much boring as he is just bored. And it's I feel like because of how the argument was structured, Jack, he would definitely be too much of a rule stickler in that you have to kill this creature this way or you cannot continue. And that makes for a very uninteresting campaign. Tiny Tina, as pointed out, actually already had her DMing stardom with the Assault on Dragon Keep. The main issue with that one is the fact that it's like that was also during a time where she's still getting over the turmoil of Roland's death. So all of the craziness that was happening in that, sure, she's already insane, but she's a lot less insane than many of the local natives.
It's not that hard in Borderlands.
Yeah, and not that hard in Borderlands, but the point stands. She wasn't completely all there, so and
Never mind, it's your turn. Never mind.
emotion can very much impact how a DM proceeds through their campaign. I have seen it happen firsthand. As for Bowser, well, let's be honest, I'd see him more as the end boss of a campaign than the DM. So I'm going to have to go with Tiny Tina as well.
Alrighty, and Wolfie, what are your thoughts?
Okay, finally my turn. I can speak. So, God, it's so hard. Like my ADD brain's like, I want to say something before I forget it. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna go through because thankfully I have not played any of like Geralt or Tina's games. However, I have a lovely husband right here that has, and I have watched him, so I know all about all of them. Let me just get the dragon out of the room here, I should say, as far as Bowser goes, because Bowser, I mean, like Zach said, yeah, that's all in the manual for his base game, the original Mario Brothers. But I've played Mario from my first NES as a kid all the way up to now. I have never seen him personally do sorcery or any of that nonsense on screen personally myself. I've seen what's the freaking wizard thing from Yoshi's Island's name?
Kamek.
Yeah, I've seen Kamek do it. I've seen other characters do it. I've never seen Bowser himself actually cast a spell in my entire life. So, I mean, he's just like the bumbling big old dinosaur king that wants to marry Peach and steal her away from Mario, and that's it, and give his kids a mom finally. That's why he's just the bumbling goofball villain you want to love, but hate at the same time because he's always constantly foiling your bad plans. So he's constantly losing. I don't know if he'd be all that great a DM because of it. He doesn't really teleport. He doesn't really have any sorcery that I've ever seen him on screen. He just stomps around and possibly tosses a hammer once in a blue moon and spits fireballs. That's it. That's his rule book. That's what he's got.
Or grows into a kaiju, but
whatever. Yeah, where he drives into a giant dragon, whatever. Moving on to Geralt. Like a lot of people have said, he obviously knows how to play Gwent. He lives this life. Dungeons and Dragons is not even a pastime for him. That is literally his life. You play Witcher 3 if you can't play D&D with your buddies. That's what you play, because that's literally the same world. Like, he is living it. He doesn't need to play make-believe, kill the dragon or the wolf or whatever. He's already got that sitting right outside his door. He doesn't need to play make-believe. I don't think and to other, he does speak a lot. But the thing is, it's a role-playing game. You're meant to step into his shoes. It gives you the options to choose things, and obviously he will have portioned off sentences based on what you pick. So I think that's a little unfair for everybody to be chewing up that he doesn't talk that much. He's meant to be you. You're meant to step into his shoes. But again, he's going to be bored to death doing this because he lives this life. Tiny Tina, however, absolutely nut job. And yeah, okay, her first DM campaign that we ever saw was a crapshoot. She's a kid. It was her first time, and let's face it, she had a whole bunch of adults that she was trying to play with her. They're basically humoring her and doing it to basically shut her up. And like my husband here said, yes, she was also trying to process the loss of somebody that she cared about that had saved her life at one point. And that's, as somebody who played and like literally grew up in a D&D campaign that was based on Mega Man X, the fact that I was allowed to roleplay as a wolf girl in a world of Reploids and robots having that one crazy ass character can make everything go nuts and add a whole bunch of spice to the story. So, speaking as somebody who did not know that I was going to end up being that spice to that story when I first joined up, I think she would be the better DM once she gets more experience. So, that my point's going to go to Tiny Tina as well.
Alrighty, and Mac.
I'm gonna keep it short and sweet. Bowser's a big old dragon who just growls. and yeah, I'm sorry, Jack. They're right. He's a character. He lives his life. He's gonna be bored. Tiny Tina, on the other hand, is somebody that just seems so enthusiastic. Something that can get you into. So my vote is going to Tiny Tina. But you're all wrong. It's obviously gonna be. No, I'm just playing. Vivi. It's Vivi from Final Fantasy IX.
Oh, okay. And
Just be warned. Go ahead, Angie.
No, you're fine. I was gonna say I agree with everybody across the board. I would also go with Tiny Tina. There's nothing against. Is it Geralt or Geralt?
Girl.
It's technically Gerald.
Geralt.
Okay.
Gerald.
Geralt. All right. I would love to see him as a DM also. I just think he's a more serious DM, maybe for like a later on experienced campaign group. Not so much like maybe somebody who's getting into it or somebody who just wants to do like a quick 2-hour campaign maybe. Where Tiny Tina, I feel like, would just be that perfect amount of crazy that really gets you into it for a couple hours. Or as Wolfie was saying, when she gets more experience, then she can do like the bigger and longer campaigns that can go on for weeks. And for Bowser, I would love to see Bowser as a DM as well, because I think if you did the Bowser that's just from the main Mario series, I feel like that would have worked out better for your argument, Suzanne, instead of the Mario Kart Bowser. But I do like your argument points for that. But I will also go with Tiny Tina. So Dylan, you get the point for round 2.
Woo! Girl
Yeah,
would be the guy writing all of those
Girl
extra
would
campaigns you can buy.
Yeah.
That's what I
And
think.
what are the chat saying?
Okay. I was in the chat, obviously saying some stupid stuff. I said something about Mega Man being awesome and he could touch dice. They obviously thought I was insane. Or world thought I was insane. Dallas Country Snatchers. Hello, how's it going? But yeah, that's about it. And Night Pack, I didn't got his answers. I gotta go to the mixer.
While we wait for that, Wolfie.
Yeah. That's a lot of house rules. The time for the time I have no use for. So yeah.
Honestly, Wiley would make a better DM.
Yeah,
I can see Wiley.
Rock would be a good DM. He would be like an even younger Tiny Tina, I'd say. Like he would be even more inexperienced, and he would probably just want everything to be sunshines and rainbows. That's just how Rock is. I love him, but
I am going to point out 2 real quick things. One, doesn't matter the series, Bowser's still Bowser.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's something we were saying. Like Bowser's still Bowser. Also, I would like to punch in really quick because Zero muted us before I had a chance to say it the first time. I think Geralt would be a good DM if like we took him out of like his life. Like if he was doing like an altered D&D campaign.
Yeah, but see, here's the thing. If your opinions of the character are what determines the fight and not the arguments people make, then I have no chance of winning any of the rounds in this game. Because I've made arguments for my guy, and all of you have picked Tiny Tina and disqualified Geralt for reasons you all have for why Geralt, but not arguments that they've made for why Geralt should lose. So I don't care.
Don't worry, you'll probably win.
Jack, it's because you were boring, so we assumed that his campaign.
That is fair. That is fair.
To be fair, Jack, as well, a lot of your argument was already hyped up the fact that he does live the typical D&D adventure life.
Actually, that was not a point made by any of the other fighters. The only people who have made that point were you guys.
No, you made that point.
On
You
now,
sounded
right?
boring.
Yes, we are moving on now to question 3.
Sorry, Jack.
Question
Oh,
three
it's totally fine.
is, that's okay. It is, what is the best card-based tabletop game? All right, and for this round,
Blind as a bat in this.
for this round, we will start with Dylan. What is your answer?
Magic the Gathering.
All right. And Suzanne, your answer was?
Ticket to Ride.
And Jack?
I've brought my own box for you to use. Legendary, a Marvel deck building game.
All right. All right, folks, you have heard their answers. And Dylan, your 3 minutes starts now.
Magic the Gathering. Released in 1993, can be found in, I'm pretty sure, every single comic book store that sells cards. At least every single one I've been in at least 5 states. Has tournaments all around the world, prize pools up to $240,000, down to about $5 every Wednesdays at a comic book shop. This game is, in my mind, the best because it is so varied. There's so many different versions of it with the same exact cards. You have the 40 card decks, the 60 card decks, the 100 card decks. Each one is a different game. Then everyone started to release joke decks, like a Jacket Full of Squirrels, which is my favorite to use. This game can literally be for anyone because of the variety of play styles and cards. And then if also to go along with it, the art on the cards. That alone is amazing. Maybe the art on blue decks, red decks, black decks. Each one you could look at it and instantly know where it came from, what its style is. As for the actual realm itself, because Magic the Gathering has a bunch of its own lore, it has spun off multiple comics and stuff like that. But just out of these tiny little cards, you have a worldwide phenomenon that brings people together to play games and have fun. And it's my thing.
All right. Suzanne.
I just want to say I'm really proud of my boy. He's very eloquent tonight.
Doing a great job.
Ticket to Ride. You're talking best card-based tabletop game. What my son Dylan and Jack, whose phone's going off right now while I'm talking, are talking the next level. It's not. You need to know a little more before going into theirs. If you're talking best card game, you need it to be accessible and welcoming. I've tried both of their games, and it was not welcoming or accessible. And I'm all about tabletop, and I've tried multiple times and I couldn't get it. Ticket to Ride is a game that across the board, ages, people can play. It is the theme, trains, everybody understands. The pieces, the components are fun to hold. You can actually move things and make your little trains go along. It is strategic and it is challenging. After you've even played it years after you've played it, it is still a challenging game. And if you like it, there's so many expansions. Nordic, Asia, everything. And it is something that you can go back to, and it is enjoyable. And it's not that you need to learn each time, you need to buy new pieces. It's accessible. And that is my time.
All right. Jack.
All right. The old man stepping in here. Magic the Gathering. I like Magic the Gathering, but we'll get to it in a minute. Legendary is a deck building game. So a deck building game is all card based. Cards are the whole purpose of the game, but unlike Magic, where you have to buy your cards, the game box has all the cards you're ever going to need to play right in the box. And the way deck building games work is that you have resources and you can use your cards to buy other cards, and you make your deck bigger and bigger as you go. Legendary is a game that features Marvel superheroes like Captain America, Iron Man, Hulk, Storm, Cyclops, Spider-Man, all of your favorites. Players work cooperatively to defeat some of the Marvel's greatest villains like Loki and Magneto, and they attempt to complete one of their they attempt to defeat them before they can complete one of their evil schemes. Gameplay is straightforward, taking turns back and forth, and it's cooperative, so the players are actually all working together to defeat a common villain. No two games of Legendary will ever be the same. Unlike Magic, when you're playing against someone in Magic, if they have a deck and you've played them against that deck before, you know what that deck's going to do. The card order might be slightly different, but each deck has a theme and a purpose, and you're going to see that every time you play. Ticket to Ride she didn't even mention the cards. The cards are like Candyland cards. All you use them is their colors. She talked more about the trains and the pieces than she did the card game. My deck is all card game. It's a deck building game. Everybody has a hand. It's constantly being cycled. You're playing with cards. And like I said, no two games are the same, but they all utilize the same card base. So the heroes that you can choose 5 different heroes for every single game. You can choose a different mastermind. There's 8 schemes to choose from. So Loki could do the one scheme, and then next time you could play the same scheme with Magneto. But the last time you play with Captain America, this time you play with Iron Man. So you have lots and lots of options. It's super fun. And because it's cooperative, you're actually working with the person next to you to play the game. You don't have to work against them. Everybody's working together. It's fun, and we're all working towards a common goal. Yes, there is a winner, but the winner is just the person with the most victory points, and they're like the marvelous, the legendary guy in the game. But for the most part, it's all about beating the supervillain and making sure that they don't complete their evil scheme. Marvel is fun. It's enjoyable. It's the game that I think will win today.
Wow. That was a great argument. I love that. Alrighty. Now it is time for the 3 fighters to tear up each other's arguments. You guys have 5 minutes on the clock, starting now.
And here
If I may,
we go.
you said I didn't bring up the cards. It's because it's such a natural extension to what you are playing that I didn't bring it up. The cards are so important, and it's all of what it is the deck building. And I've played
There's no deck building in your game.
Okay,
you just need the cards to decide which
Jack,
trains to put down.
Let me just put this clear the board right now. This game's been out for a very long time. There's like thousands upon thousands of possible decks you could build. I have been playing this since middle school, and whenever I play with my friends, I've only come across the same deck once or twice when playing against them because of the amount of cards we have. I have probably 5,000 cards, and I make new decks whenever I can. So the fact that, yes, you'll, in tournaments, actual tournaments, you will be able to come across the meta decks.
All right,
But in
I'm sorry,
comic book
son.
shops,
Why
those
do
would
you
be
need
completely
5,000
different.
cards to have the best game?
Because Magic is pay to win. And
Yeah.
the only
No,
way
no,
you can
no,
be
no,
good at
no.
Magic
Yours.
is to buy
Yes.
a ton of
Wait,
cards.
Yes.
But also,
right.
you said that we're competitive. There are at least 3 game modes where it's not competitive. Emperor puts 2 teams of 3 to fight against each other. So you have 2 teams, 3 people
I don't mean
working
to throw
together.
you under the bus, but how many boxes have I bought and there was nothing in it that made you happy?
Never.
Suzanne,
That
you
does
said,
not
you
make a
said
best
something.
game.
You said something in the pre-show that is very damning, in my opinion. You said, I remember buying boxes of cards to maybe get 3
All right, did
good
you have
cards.
to say that? I just said it.
I know.
Did you have
I'm
to say it
supporting it.
again?
Yes, absolutely.
But those are commanders. Those are the ones that make the deck. In the box,
But
are
you
those things
have
that
to
fill
shell
the
out
middle.
cash so that you have a chance to maybe have that commander in your deck.
And how much
there's
do
no
we have to
guarantee you'll
shell
even
out
get
for
it.
your
What comic
game?
book store can you walk into and go, hey, let's play that game?
Let's
If
see.
they
how
don't
much,
have that,
how much was this game? $39.99 when I bought it, and I never have to buy another thing
And how many
ever.
people like Marvel? Everybody.
how-
loves
yeah.
Everyone loves Marvel.
Not
Everyone. The
But what are
MCU
the
has made
chances
more money
of
than
of
all
walking
show
into a
our
place
shirts.
and going, I
5
want
of
to
the
play
movies
this?
that are in the top 10 are Marvel movies. Everyone loves Marvel
Your
movies.
argument
But
makes
that
no
doesn't make
sense.
it the best. It's cliche.
You
How does it
can't
not
just
make
go
any
out.
sense?
Cliche.
You can't go out and play
Marvel
it.
is cliche.
You
Like
can go
Yeah, I
out
can.
to
or Star
First of all,
Wars.
there is a
walk into any comic book
there's
shop
solo
and just go,
play
hey,
in
I want to play
Legendary.
this. Does anyone have
If I
this?
want to, I can play
Somebody
Legendary
on
on my
the
own.
Ride
I don't
Nordic
need anyone else if
side.
I don't want to have
But
anybody
what's the
playing
fun
with
of playing
me.
it
How does it
alone?
make
Don't you
the
want to
best?
I
be in a
don't
big
play it
group of
alone, but I
people?
could. I
Why
do
would
play
you?
it with other
That's
people.
what we're talking about. We're talking about best.
And that's
This
why my
is-
game is the best. I can
This is
play
the
it
best 'cause you
solo. I can
literally
play it
go
with
almost
friends.
anywhere
Solo
in the
does not make a
world
good
and find
game.
And
people to
unlike
play
this fight, it's a fun time because we're all having a fun together playing towards a common goal instead of opposing each other and trying to win.
And I've already
Magic
said there are
Magic
so
the
many game
Gathering
modes
is
where you work
also
together.
token
There
hell.
are people that
Magic
hate
created
Marvel. There are
Magic
people
create
that
Okay, those are
Magic.
token
Ma-
People
decks.
hate
That's not all of
trains.
Magic.
But what I'm
Nobody
saying
hates
is you have to keep track in Magic of all the tokens that you're creating, and then you have to put tokens here, and you need dice
That's why
or
you
you
just use
need
dice.
pennies.
That's
or
all
you-
trivial. Yours
I don't
are
need anything but what's
obscure.
in this
Mine
box,
is-
But if
and
you
I'll
don't
have
have
a
the
new
box, you can't just walk
and
up
I'll
and go,
have
hey,
a
let's
new-
play this.
I'll have a new experience
Ticket to
every
Ride.
single time.
Same
Ticket to
with
Ride
Same with
Magic.
Ticket to Ride.
is
Everybody's
barely a
strategy is
card
different.
game. It's not even a card game. It has Candyland-like cards with a color on them, and those colors are
this
what you use
doesn't
to
make it
determine your
true.
trains. It does.
I just gotta go back to the fact you can't go
does
be
not.
places and play that.
This does
And if they
not.
don't like Marvel, they won't
My
play it.
And
game
Ticket to Ride is the same
components.
country
All you
every
have is
time.
cards.
It-
I
okay,
will
we'll
be-
defend. It's
How
not
How
the
many
same country
trains
every
do I
time.
have to
Do it.
build? I don't know how you're going to judge this fight.
We have
how
at
many
least
trains
5
can you
different
build
countries that
A
are
between
best game for
California,
me
between Los
has
Angeles and
more
New
than
York?
just
Oh, I need Los Angeles to
one.
Miami this time. Oh, this time I'm going to Duluth. It's the same
So
cities.
it's educational as well as fun.
The board has never
Boom.
changed.
So, you
It
guys
has never
done?
changed.
You guys
You can
done?
buy
I've
expansion
seen so
packs.
many
You can buy
people
expansion
unhappy
packs
wait
for
a
mine.
second.
After they play, I don't
So-
My game has
Unhappy
expansion
with
packs
Ticket
too,
to Ride.
but you don't ever need to buy more than this box, and you will have
Not
a
everybody
different
I'm just gonna say
experience.
again,
every
anyone
time.
can walk
Everybody
up and
likes
play
Ticket to
Magic.
Ride.
from
You go to a
beginning
game con,
end.
Everyone
Every-
also, by the way,
Well,
not
that's
everybody
yelling
can
at
walk
each
up and play
other.
Magic. That is not true. Plus,
Yes.
No,
not
I hate
everyone
that.
cannot walk up and
completely
play
true.
Magic.
All right,
It
folks,
is
that is
not easily
time.
accessible.
That is time. Settle on the court.
Order. Okay. Dang.
Okay. Wow.
Well, that was hot.
We're hot over this one.
Are we in a championship match here?
I don't know.
Feels like it.
It feels like it. Yeah.
Every day is a championship match.
Stop fighting that hard. My God, you're making me.
Sorry.
Um.
Fall in
Trigger
love.
warning.
Confrontation.
All right, Zach. Do you have a question for our fighters?
Do you want to?
I was going to say several, but none that I want to air. Several, though.
Zero. Do you have a question for our fighters?
I don't. I'm gonna pass this one on to Wolf if you don't mind.
Sure, Wolfie do have one.
I have questions for all three of you because I do not know any of your games to save my life.
Try to form it into one question.
Okay. I know Magic does this. I know Marvel apparently does not. Ticket to Ride. Are you required to buy more sets or cards or what have you if you want to be able to play it effectively?
No,
Okay.
not at all.
Okay.
Not at all. If you enjoy it, you can buy an expansion to a different genre.
And that's true for Legendary as well.
Okay. So there are
Oh, okay.
expansions, but they're optional. And you're not required to get them.
Correct.
Okay. Question answered. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'll just go ahead and count that question for all three. I just need to hear Dylan's answer.
You have to buy the packs, yeah.
To be effective, though.
Oh, no, if you have a deck
Yes.
you like, then you're good.
Well,
To
how
be
do you get the
effective.
deck?
My friend Adam has been playing the same deck for 24 years.
But he had to search and find that deck. It didn't come when
Well, that
first
does
time
make
he
me-
bought it.
And that does make my
What's that
point,
deck?
though, that once you play the same deck, you know what he's going to play because he's playing
But
it
he
for
also
24
has
years.
50 decks.
Just saying.
All right.
But once you have a deck you really like and it's tournament good, you don't need another tournament deck.
Because like people always put claymores behind
Okay.
doors, and if you peek in, you
Um,
get a chance to shoot them
Zach, what are the facts?
before it goes off.
Fact, there is no place called Duluth.
Hey,
Did
man.
I say that?
No, I said
No.
that.
I mean, you're just harping on poor Jack. Like every time I ask you for a fact, the very first fact is something that Jack
I'm
said.
sorry, but we're all harping on Max grammar, and this just keeps happening.
It's totally fair. 100%. 100% fair.
other
Zach, don't die me, bro.
I also want to point out, Suzanne, you said it's a game everybody likes. Angie, what was the thing I said to you in the chat today?
What do? Yeah, you basically just said that you were bored of it.
Yeah. So, and after the first time playing, so that just knocks that out.
For you.
No, but you specifically said everybody. That's
but if you're a beginner, and you first
I was a
playing,
beginner. I'd never touched it. So
not everyone likes it.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying. I'm saying that that is not the case. Other than that, it's true that Marvel, unless you get the extra stuff, is self-contained and can be played one player, which surprised me. Thank you, BoardGameGeek.com, because otherwise I wouldn't know any of this crap. Very useful.
That's a great site.
But and also you can technically just play with the cards you got if you only have 2 people. When you're first starting out, you get 2 decks in the starter pack and you fight each other. So Dylan, you're wrong about your own game there. So those are the facts.
Also, I meant Duluth. but I think Duluth is way more fun to live in.
I imagine fantasy lands are more fun. Yes.
And Zach, what are your thoughts on who won?
My thoughts are Magic got taken down with the nickel and diming thing again and again and again. I didn't really hear much about how it plays, which kind of seems bad. I heard mostly from Jack how Legendary plays, which is basically building from what you get, and I like it being all in one.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give Ticket to Ride. It is incredibly accessible, but Jack is entirely right that the cards are a secondary thing. They could be pretty much anything: a token, a marble, whatever. It doesn't have to be a card for the game to function. So I'm gonna give it to Legendary.
Alrighty, 0.
Okay, so I will agree with what Zach said, is that yes, Magic did get taken down quite heavily with the nickel and diming argument. However, I did hear one solid defense on that, and it is actually something that has happened invariably with me. I never bought my own Magic deck. I had it gifted to me by a friend who I've known for all my life, consider him a cousin. I have won games with that deck. And you don't necessarily have to buy all your cards, because that's exactly what friends are for. Sure, they'll probably have to go buy the cards, but if they were gifted the cards, that's the point of a collectible card game almost. And that trend kind of got started with something that hilariously didn't start out as a card game, but started out with Pokemon. You just trade until you get what you wanted. You still had to purchase that starter pack, but every starter pack wasn't necessarily the same, especially because most starter packs come with
at least a couple rares.
Yeah, a deck, at least enough to start a deck, and then a couple of random packs. So, Ticket to Ride, I was listening in on how much that it was being played. I know. But at the same time, I didn't hear much on like how it can really captivate the people playing it, because a lot of card games are played by people who are enthusiasts of the genre and like to get into any little nuggets of lore, backstory, or something that makes them feel more attached to what they are doing. As for Legendary Marvel, if I could be completely real, and as you'll hear in a few minutes with my wife, Jack, when you say everybody loves Marvel, I'm going to give you the argument that Zach gave with Nerds Garage in terms of Ticket to Ride. Not everybody loves Marvel. So for me, it's a very hard deliberation point, but going based completely on the arguments, I am actually going to have to side with Mac as much as with Zach, as much as I don't like Marvel, just from the deliberation of your argument itself. You did have a solid argument, and you did effectively fight back when it came to the grudge round.
All right. And Wolfie.
Okay, so like my husband just mentioned, not everybody likes Marvel. I absolutely hate them. So that being, I just do not like American comic book style at all to save my life.
We're being built to actually think.
Yeah, but this whole round is like really so hard to pick on because there's good points on every one of you. Like Ticket to Ride and Legendary both have the fact that you are not required to continue purchasing or anything like that. If you really want to play effectively, you get what you get in the box and you're good. However, like he just said with Magic, he's got his deck that he was gifted, and I've maybe helped him buy a couple cards here and there at like a flea market for like really cheap. Like, how much did we pay? Like 5 cents a card, something like that. It was cheap.
Yeah.
We weren't required to do that, and it's kind of like, in my eyes, Magic is kind of like Pokemon Go. It's like a free to play. You know, you get into it, you buy your base, whatever. Okay, there you go. There's your entry point. You're not required to buy the balls. You're not required to buy the stuff if you don't want to. You can just stay strictly as this is my stuff. I'm going to stick with this, and I'm going to get what I want. And there are people that are very dedicated to keeping free to play and not providing any money. But then, like, if you're like me, who's dedicated, or him, who's fairly dedicated, you do put in that extra money. You do go and you buy those extra cards. You buy what you want to get. Like some people go on eBay and buy the ones that they really want for whatever amount of money they're willing to spend. It's all up to you as a player. I do like the fact that Magic obviously has been around for so long. There are so many different expansions. I've never played a game of it in my life, and I've heard about it. So I've never heard of Legendary, and I've never heard of Ticket to Ride. But I mean, granted, I do like Ticket to Ride's name because obviously it's a hit of the Beatles song, and I grew up on Beatles. That's a personal thing, though. Personally, my point's gonna probably go to Magic, just because of the fact that it's so well known and so accessible. You find stuff for them all over the place. You can very easily get into it. I do like the fact that both the other games are, you know, that's it, it's in your box. But if you want that option of building and getting better at it, if you're really dedicated, it doesn't seem like there's really that much expansion possibility. Whereas Magic, you have that option if you're willing to pay the price for it. So that's my argument.
All right. And Matt.
Am I allowed to fact check her?
Who, me?
Yes.
I suppose.
Sure, go ahead.
Just because in most like Magic, like legit tournaments, there is a restricted card list.
Oh, okay. Okay, that
I
makes
just wanted to
sense.
mention that.
No, you're fine. Like I said, I don't know anything about any of these
Because
games.
I mean, there's ones with larger pools of cards than others, obviously.
No, I totally get it.
But I just wanted to mention that is a thing if you want to play competitively.
Okay.
Yeah. To addendum on you, Zach, most of the Magic she's actually been hanging around is like for the con we go to that she mentioned earlier was Archon. and they tend to hold open pool tournaments.
Okay, which are a lot rarer than Friday Night Magic type deals.
Yeah.
Okay.
But Mac, what are your thoughts?
Okay. Unlike last time, I'm going to try to keep this. Like last time, I'm going to keep it short and sweet. But like I said, I'm keeping up with the arguments. So let's start with Dylan. Dylan, your answer was straight to the point. It's something that's, everybody got into Magic. But you opened the round, your opening was good. But once you got into the grudge, they came on you like a ton of bricks, and there was no way out for you to come out. They kept coming at you. The fact that, and I know, and one thing I hate more than anything, and I heard this in the argument, is the fact that you pay to win, and I hate that. I hate that so much. So you were already out once they say pay to win. So it came down between Jack.
And your mom was the one paying.
Yeah. So it came down between Susie and Jack. And Susie, well, I love your answer. Your answer is awesome. Jack just knocked yours down by saying, "Hey, you said you don't need the cards. You don't need this. You don't need that to play. It doesn't expand. It doesn't do this. It's just the same damn country every time." So I'll have to give this to Jack.
Alrighty. I will just say I have played all of these games. I have enjoyed every battle match that I have been in. But I will be going based off the arguments as usual. And I will also be going with Jack on this one. You just really explained better how the game plays, and I also do enjoy the fact that you could just buy the one box and then you just have like everything you need, and every scenario is different. I will say, Suzanne, I do also enjoy Ticket to Ride. I think it's a very fun game. I love to play it with my nephew. And Magic the Gathering, Dylan, it is a very fun card game. It is one of my all-time favorite card games. But I just feel that you fell a little bit short in the grudge match a little bit. If you had defended it a little bit more, I feel like you would have been a really good contender in here. So Jack, you get the point for round 4.
Yay!
And right now, folks, before we get into round 4, we are currently at a 3-way tie.
Yes.
So whoever wins this next one is guaranteed to go into the final round, and these next two will go to a quick PvP.
Damn it.
Yep.
I love Magic, by the way. I've been playing since 1993. It was really hard to tear that down, and Ticket to Ride is an awesome game. Awesome game.
How did you not mention how Planeswalkers throw off the balance?
Oh, it didn't seem like it was necessary at that point. It would have just been extra stuff, and I had to defend myself, so I left it.
Okay. Question.
Yeah, if I could
I wrote it down though about Planeswalkers.
I was gonna say I want to hear what the chat has to say, and
my bad.
Then I also want to hear what Zero also has to say after that.
Okay. Trent Carter awesome from Old White Truck D&D Gamer. He said never played the Marvel game. Sounds fun. And also me and Zero just in the chat said these guys are taking it this like a championship match. And I said this fight is getting heated. And also I tweeted on Twitter, guys, this match is getting hot with literally James McAvoy's waving his thing at him.
We're all friends here. We're having a good time.
Yeah, we are.
I mean, it got so heated. I'm half ashamed I shaved my neck beard for the day.
And Zero.
To-do list with this one.
What were your thoughts, Zero?
What I actually was going to say as an addendum to that whole commanders and planeswalkers thing is, yeah, sure that they're a nice addition, but I have literally seen decks in Magic run that have been so effective to countering commanders and planeswalkers and literally destroying those types of decks that it's almost that they counterbalance.
I do hate planeswalkers. They're the worst.
Jace the Mind Flayer is not one to be messed with.
All right. Well, let's get to question number 3.
You mean
number
number
four.
4?
Let's not go back.
Four.
After that, I don't want to do that again.
Let's do question 3 again.
I won that one.
Exhausting.
Can we keep that point?
Like the live stream went down during all of that, and now we have to go.
Yeah, we gotta do
Wait, cut the commercial.
I just
Alrighty,
Turn up your old Gatorade now, Slade.
I can go home happy. I
That
did magic.
corner looks like it's more like your background there, Mac.
Green screen.
Alrighty, folks, let's
Oh,
get to
that's not
question
screen.
4.
Question number 4.
Question 4, people.
Question 4 is what film would make the best tabletop game?
Oh God.
Ooh.
And for
yeah.
this, we will be starting with Suzanne.
I chose Alita, Battle Angel.
Ooh.
All right. And for Dylan,
I chose Ocean's 11.
Yeah.
For the record, not the original. It's the George Clooney version.
Yeah.
Yeah, not the original. George
It's a
Clooney.
George
good
Clooney
movie.
version. All right.
George Clooney.
And for Jack,
I have chosen The Goonies.
Yes. Yes.
Hey, hey,
Please
hey,
never say die.
hey, hey.
I'm telling you what, this fight's going to give me asthma by the time this is over.
all righty, folks. You have heard their answers. Now we must hear their plea. Suzanne, we will start with you. Your 3 minutes starts now.
Okay, I'm hoping you've seen the movie and I want you to close your eyes. I want you to visualize the movie and how beautiful this game would be. The board would be Iron City, and you'd have these beautiful 3D figurines that you could paint or you could leave them gray. That would be a cooperative game. And in Iron City, the first campaign would be to get Alita's memory. And once you finish that campaign, you would go on to Motorball, and it would be the machines against the humans and Alita. And then once you have completed that campaign, it would be going up to Zellum. And Zellum would be the expansion pack because it would be a board that would go around your board. You would have to go from Iron City to the outer board, much like Outer Rim Star Wars or Firefly, the Outer Rim. You would take up the whole table. It would be cooperative. There would be cards that would be drawn randomly, but it would be dice rolling. It would be a game of chance and strategy. And once Alita took over Zellum, she would take her team with her to the outer planets to free more people. And think about the cover art. Think about the rule book, the big eyes, the bright colors. It would be so beautiful. I want this game. I want these pieces. And that is my time.
All right. Dylan, your 3 minutes starts now.
So, Ocean's 11, a classic heist. This would very much be kind of like a Call of Cthulhu, D&D light kind of game.
Nice.
There's obviously 11 possible classes that all would each have different roles to play in these sort of mini campaigns of setting up for the heist, getting the heist, and then dealing with if it goes wrong or not.
Okay.
The setting could be anywhere, but the main game would obviously be in Las Vegas. The classes, you have your mastermind, you have your driver, your demolition expert, your muscle, and then you have the enemy, who could either be, in my mind, the enemy could be played by an actual person or a deck of cards that flip and show the action. The enemy would be the owner of the casino you're trying to rob. And each card that is flipped would be something that might change inside the actual place you're heisting. So say flip, and the scenario is the people are out to go see a wrestling match, so there's an opening you didn't know about. or it could be played by an actual person and be an actual character sheet like the actual players, and they could roll percentile dice and be like a sort of pseudo DM, and their roles would be in pseudo secrecy of what would actually happen and change until it was revealed. So in my mind, this would be a great cooperative game. There's just basically a fun heist, because who doesn't like a heist game? That's my thing.
All right. And Jack. Jack, you are muted.
Now I'm not muted. Hi,
There you go.
everybody. I'm Jack. My game is called The Goonies, The Many Treasures of One-Eyed Willie. And it's played in a similar fashion to a game like this called Forbidden Desert. So if you're familiar with Forbidden Desert, you'll have a context for some of the things you're about to hear in this game. My game is also cooperative, so I like that we have 3 cooperative games going up against each other. In my game, you'll play as one of your favorite Goonies: Mickey, Chunk, Mouth, Andy, Data. Each player gets to be one of the different characters. This tile-based game, in the vein of Forbidden Desert, sees the Goonies moving through King Willie's maze in search of treasure to save their home in the Goondocks from being foreclosed. Each layout will be different as the players move along tiles searching for hidden treasure while avoiding Willie's traps, Rising Waters, and the Fratellis, Francis, Jake, and Mama. Players will search for Willie's ship, the Inferno, collecting treasures and gadgets to help them navigate the maze of tiles, as well as using Sloth to keep the Fratellis at bay. But don't get them lost, or they might never be heard from again. So in this kind of game, it's a tile-based game. You lay out the tiles on the board, and the tiles will shift through gameplay. Each of the characters will have a special ability. So if you're playing Mickey, for example, he can never get Mikey. Excuse me, I said Mickey, and I'm not going to get corrected for mispronouncing a name again in this fight. Mikey has a special power. He can never get lost. So as the tiles shift, he can't be put in a situation where he can't move. Chunk, he can move Sloth an extra tile during gameplay to make sure that they have a better chance of stopping the Fratellis. Mouth, he holds extra treasure in his mouth. Andy, she uses music to guide players through One-Eyed Willie's maze. Data, he can use an extra gadget card before having to discard one. So you'll basically play the game together, cooperatively taking turns, moving through the maze, trying to collect all the treasures you can, and at the end, thwarting the traps of One-Eyed Willie and the Fratellis to earn enough coin to save your home. So it's an adventure game style that captures the enjoyment and the excitement of the Goonies. It'll have playing pieces that are sort of shaped like each one of them. A Super Chunk in his blue shirt will be on the board. You'll have the 3 Fratellis. You'll have a little ship model for the Inferno that you can move along the board and will shift as the board does. So this is a really fun game that everyone can play, and I think you'll all enjoy it.
Wow.
Damn, I want to play that one.
All righty. That was
I'm about to
quite.
play all 3 of these.
Yeah,
I know. All righty. Now it is time to tear up each other's arguments. You guys have 5 minutes starting now.
Jack, thanks for showing us how to play Forbidden Desert with a new theme.
That's
There was
exactly
nothing original
Forbidden
about that
Desert.
at all.
That was
And-
exactly.
And the Goonies, there was nothing redeeming about those characters. It's not like Star Wars, where you want to go back and you want to be the characters.
You're
Nobody
trying to
said,
compare
"Oh,
Goonies to Star
oh,
Wars?
I want to be one of the Goonies.
These two things are not even the same. Alita Battle Angel, all you said was, hey, I want to do all the things that the movie stopped and didn't do at the end of its
And which
film.
is
You want to do it.
which is an original, not Forbidden Desert.
Look, but the
not
design
fun
of the
anyway.
game being familiar allows players to easily adopt it. And when they sit down to play the game,
But
the familiarity
Forbidden Desert
allows
is so
them to get
boring
right
and
into
nobody
it.
wants
very
to play
great.
it. And it's got a 6.5 on BGG. Why would anybody want to play that? And it's
The
First
thing
of all,
is with all
Forbidden
those-
Desert's a great game, but this is not Forbidden Desert. It's
Those
just
all
a
have
similar
so many
model.
pieces to come with this. This would be pretty much just
Dylan,
like D&D.
Dylan, I'm going to play one of 11 characters
character
to do
sheets.
what exactly? Your pitch was so unclear. I have no idea what I'm actually doing. Was there actually a heist? Because you said it
At
was a
least
heist
his
game.
was
but
a
I
pitch.
don't-
You were doing Forbidden
You
Desert.
didn't think
and
I pitched a
putting
game that
Goonies
sounded
little boys
original?
in it.
Wow. So basically your two concepts, which went absolutely nowhere. I gave you a solid concept. I explained gameplay. I explained characters. I gave abilities for those characters. So far, I haven't heard any of that from you guys.
Game that is epic with expansions.
Why is it epic? Because it has 3D pieces. It has miniatures. My game has miniatures.
Well, mine is beautiful. Yours has.
Okay, mine is beautiful. I can make great art, and my miniatures can be well crafted, and you can paint them if you want to.
Beautiful. Those characters are beautiful. Look at the anime in Alita Battle Angel. You can't.
And Alita Battle Angel is an incomplete movie. They got to the end and realized they didn't have time to make
that. Look at
but
the characters.
It's based on your movie. You can't ignore the fact that you picked an incomplete movie and then say, "Oh, but the game is all the things the movie didn't do." Well, then your game is not based on your movie.
Hush. I will complete it in my game. You took it. Look at the characters from Goonies and look at the characters from Alita. That is a beautiful game. That is a game.
Who are the characters from Alita? Because I didn't hear any of yours.
Cosplay that.
Kids will cosplay it because of the movie. They're not going to cosplay it because of the game you created. They're not going to go, I want to be that character. I want to be that miniature from a board game. If they're going to be Alita, they're going to be Alita because she's in the movie.
Darling, that's the thing with Japanese anime. It's not across the board. When I have the game out and when I get the rights, the kids will play it and be like, this is what I want to be in Halloween. This is what I want to do. This is going to be a beautiful game.
Both of your games haven't given me any example of gameplay. I literally have no idea what I'm doing in your games.
I gave you that.
You gave me story. You said, I'm going to get to go here and I'm going to get to go to this city. I'm going to get to see this beautiful place. Okay. What do I do in your game?
Drawing cards to take you to different excursions and then rolling the dice so there's strategy. And then you have to complete it cooperative, much like a Outbreak Zombie Side.
Oh, so you have a game that yours is based on as well? Because my game is based loosely on Forbidden Desert. Yours game, I guess, is
it's strategy.
Hey, so it sounds like your game is loosely based on Outbreak. Great. So we used our history with games to help us design another game and give an experience
grasping for straws. Mine is beautiful.
I have all the straws.
There's nothing about yours that makes me want to sit and color these pieces.
I asked real quick that you folks pause just for one quick second.
Oh, don't tell me we lost it during the middle of that.
No. I'm just concerned for little Dylan over here. He hasn't said a
I'm not jumping into that.
There is 1 minute left. So Dylan,
I haven't forgotten about you, Dylan.
Dylan, if you do not start talking within this next minute, you will be disqualified from this round.
I got nothing for this. It's them.
All I heard was 3 pitches, and at the end of my pitch, I actually heard people go, I want to play that game. And then they said, I want to play all these games, but my game was the first one to elicit a reaction if I want to play that game.
And you folks may continue.
Dylan, your game is...
good.
Speak, child.
So anyway, I think that the Goonies game is going to be a lot of fun. It's going to evoke all of the joy. It's going to invoke all of the joy and the fun that we all had when we watched the Goonies as kids, and we can enjoy it again further with our.
They were kicking and screaming, and
you know what? You're not my target demographic, and that's perfectly okay. I think Dylan will actually love it.
200 tabletop
Goonies is my least favorite movie.
I reviewed tabletop games. I am your demographic.
I'm just saying.
It doesn't hold up.
Well, then I can look forward. I can look for you to actually playing it. Then you'll actually give my game a shot, even if you review it poorly. At least you'll have tried it. I don't know what your games are.
I'm absolutely always honest on my reviews.
I don't know what your games are. I think everybody here has heard and understands kind of what's happening in my game.
I don't. If you look at Rotten Tomatoes, I think it's got like a 69 or a 70 because the movie doesn't hold up. If you look at Alita. All right, there goes the fact checkers, but I think it's better.
That is time. Sorry.
It's okay.
And I would like to clarify, I did not mean to actually make anybody upset. That is just something that Mac and I have done previously in the past to get the contestants more talking in the grudge match. Just more so that everybody gets their chance to voice their opinions.
And if you choose not to, that's also a viable option.
It is
Yeah.
very much a viable option.
Oh, that's perfectly
I
fine.
didn't want to get into that when it turned into a fight against movies.
I understand. I have been in that same situation before in a different grudge match.
And Dylan, we love that movie.
I love
And it'd
Ocean's
be a
11.
great game.
I love Ocean's 11.
Also, Zach, I want to put to your fact check. We'll talk about it later, but I want to put some.
I was going to say, Zach, do you have a question for our fighters?
No, I mean, not. I will say it's Zalem.
That wasn't me. I did. That's not me. That wasn't me. I didn't say that. I didn't say it wrong. I didn't say it at all.
Asterisk by my name that says I don't play Xbox, PlayStation, and I don't go to a lot of movies. That I came in here as a tabletopper, and I've tried my best.
Oh, don't feel bad, Suzanne. You did a great job.
You did great.
I'd play your game once I understand it more. I'm down to play it.
I'll
We're
happily
fighting. We're having
design
fun.
to pieces.
We're having fun. Also, I can't hear Angie.
Sorry, I was talking to another chat. Zero,
other grudges going on, right?
Zero, do you have a question for our fighters?
Okay.
Are we unmuted?
Yes, we are unmuted.
Okay.
I've been listening in on each of your movie choices and how each of them would translate into a good tabletop game. My question is not counting any form of nostalgia value, how would you get me to sit down with you?
All right, I like that question.
Mhm.
Let's start with Suzanne.
Well, I'm assuming that you are a tabletop gamer, and when you see the pieces that come with the game and the beautiful board and the box alone with the cover is going to entice you. Like when I look at Kickstarters, I'm in. And then when you sit down and I explain the journey that you do cooperatively with the characters, and that it's not over with just, oh, you've gone to this far. There's so many expansions through the universe that you're like, yeah, I'm all in.
All right. Dylan.
I thought it was out.
No, baby, you're
No,
still in.
it's no. That was just something to try and get you to try and get talking during the grudge match was all.
What was the question?
The question was, how would you, without nostalgia reasons, how would you get us to sit down and play your game for the first time?
Marketing wise, it would probably be not there's any like commercials for D&D or Call of Cthulhu, but it would be in the vein of you just need this one book. And then pencil, paper, dice. No other parts needed.
Oh, all right. Like that, like that. Jack?
So I have two arguments for this. One would be, I want you to take a look at the box art, but don't look at the name of the actual movie. This is the box art for your game right there. This is the draw right here. It's a bunch of kids looking for treasure. So I can hold that up. They don't have to know what the Goonies are. They can just look at that and go, wow, that looks like a lot of fun. And then what's really cool about my game, like their games, it is cooperative. So I'm going to sell it to my friends as, look, this is a game we're all going to play together. We're going to work together. No one's fighting at the table to win this game against, we want to win together. We want to be victorious. At the end, when we solve the game, we will actually all go, woo, we all won. And that is the experience I want to give them. So it really doesn't have to be the Goonies. It's a treasure hunt. It's about finding treasure and having a
But
good
you
time.
picked the Goonies, and we all were winning at the end.
Right, but the point of the question was, how do I get someone to sit down? I show them the box art and I say, look at this awesome looking game. It's super fun and we're all going to play it together on the same team. It's really cool. That's how I pitch the game.
All right. Zach, time for the facts.
Zach, may I say something within your sex?
You can say it right now.
Okay. Just the fact of y'all, I've been hearing about Rotten Tomato scores. Let me just tell y'all something. Zach, and Eric, and Corey, there's a show called Is It Rotten? We basically know that those Rotten Tomato scores are bullshit. So,
however, Goonies is 10% higher.
Exactly. So, yeah, just want to let y'all know.
What's about to be on my screen.
Did we look at Ocean's 11's Rotten Tomato?
I like Ocean's 11 a lot.
We
so
have
it's probably
just
high.
established that is bullshit.
Continuing on to the facts.
This is something I need fact checked, kind of.
Oh, what is that?
Don't cheat. Let it be fair.
That is the Goonies board game.
Here's the fact check on that. That is
there is a board game of it.
That is actually a card game. That is more a card game than an official board game.
Well, I'm just saying.
But there's a board with it, so.
No, it has tiles.
It's an original game.
No, it's. I was going to ask Angie if you could read the description and then get back to me.
Yeah, I can read the description and get back to you.
That's why I need to know.
I didn't even know that existed.
Yeah, I imagine you didn't. Otherwise, you probably wouldn't have mentioned it.
Well, originally I was going to do Lord of the Rings, and we picked this one because I couldn't do Lord of the Rings.
Also, people do like the Goonies as they are individually. I mean, Data was like, I always loved that character as a kid, but that's just saying that does happen. But I didn't get much out of your description for what the game is, Suzanne. I'm still a little confused. So
really,
yes, like as to how it plays, I am actually confused. I'm incredibly confused by Dylan's. He described it, but I've never played D&D or Call of Cthulhu, so I have no idea.
I will also say, too, if I'm allowed to speak,
Yep.
I'm a little confused on both Suzanne's idea of the game as well, partially because I had to run up to the bathroom really quick, so I apologize. I missed out a good chunk of on both her and Dylan. But yeah, if I could, yeah, I'm kind of, I mean, I've seen Battle Age Alita, but it's been 20 years, so my memory's foggy.
I'm wondering if we have a handicap because you guys aren't big tabletop players.
Actually, I think out of all of us, the biggest tabletop players are probably, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Zach and Mac, but so far from what I know, me and Angie are some of the bigger tabletop players.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I have dabbled here and there, but that's about it.
I know jack and shit about daggone tabletops.
Yeah.
I mean, the biggest.
Well, I'm so glad I played then.
Well, that's why I wanted to defer to Angie, like on the description of the Goonies game.
I was gonna say
we should judge ourselves.
Well, the description here is that the Goonies adventure card game is a Kickstarter, and there are different versions of the card game, but there's a difference. The play tiles, there is play tiles, but it's not like a full-on board, and there is also an option
So
where
very much like the game he explained.
It's
Which
his
is
game's
tiles.
his game's.
If you look at the game that he explained, I've played that game. It is tiles.
I will.
Well, then why didn't you mention that it
will allow
existed? I had never heard of it.
I will allow his because there are different versions that you can buy on Kickstarter for this, and there's also another like kind of card layout similar to like a Yu-Gi-Oh card layout or a Pokemon card layout.
But the Kickstarter is very much like the game he explained.
It's similar, but the difference is like he's talking about like finding like the big treasure. This game wants you to find the treasure in 5 different locations.
Okay, instead of 2. Okay.
I don't know anything about the game that exists, so.
And there's also there's like a meeple, and he's talking about using like actual characters from the show.
Which are meeples. Unless he has, I mean, when you put the little cutout people, they're called meeples. They're tokens.
Zach, I have a question from the chat. They want to know, is Alita a Kickstarter? Is there a Alita Kickstarter for a
No,
game?
there is not. I looked.
I wish.
Okay.
I would
honestly,
so play that.
That's the thing. I like all of these movies.
Yeah.
So there's not a single one of these I don't like. I actually was one of the few that like tried to get Mac to watch Alita like right away. I'm like, this is actually good.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Now,
But,
quick question though: are we talking like the new Battle Angel Alita that just came out a little while ago, or are we talking like the original anime version?
There we go.
The new
I only
one.
saw the anime version way back.
yeah, that's technically an OVA though.
The new one, and what is out in the manga right now?
She has read the first few volumes of the manga after she saw the movie.
Any more facts, Zach?
I mean, not really. They're pitches. I just had to like go do my due diligence on the franchises.
Mm-hmm.
That is funny. I'm reading it too. Like, I mean, I basically pitched this game.
Which is a Kickstarter right now.
Yeah. Well, so it's a current game, but it's not actually released. It's a Kickstarter game.
No,
Yeah.
it's released, I think.
Okay. Yeah, I've never heard of this in my life, but it is funny how I mean they basically describe the game. Or excuse me, they describe the movie
Well,
in
it's
this
the only
thing,
way.
which
It's
is,
the only way to play it. There's no other way
Yeah.
to make that into a game.
well, I think
Yeah.
my game was
Unless
the
it was
original, but
Clue.
It's
then,
a movie
Unless
and
it was
making a
Clue.
game of it, yeah.
well, it's up to you guys. I didn't
Well-
know it was a thing, so
I'm going to allow it as a board game.
Yeah.
Since this one is more officially titled as a card adventure and you're more talking about an actual board game, I will allow yours as a board game and we will just pretend that we never heard of this card game. Go on with this judging. So Zach, who do you think won?
I'm gonna say Ocean's 11 because at least I understood most of it. I understood most of the pitch. It's complicated, but I understood the ideas. And when he said pen and paper, it made a lot more sense.
Yeah. Zero.
While I do at least admit that I do not know much about Battle Angel Alita, from the way it's been described,
How can they?
it does seem like a very interesting concept, but
I did have to fill in a little bit on the story.
yeah, from the way that there was the description that was brought up in terms of how it's played, I didn't exactly feel like I got much out of that, and I feel it's definitely something that you would have to reference the source material first before you really sat down and played it.
So John said.
As for Ocean's 11, if I could be completely honest, when I first heard the pitch idea, and I literally couldn't help myself from thinking. So literally, it's what happens if your DM allows you to make an entire party full of rogues just with different skill sets. And it's like, I mean, that would seem great, but having experienced a party full of rogues before, backstabbing's inevitable. I also didn't exactly really like. You did say Call of Cthulhu D&D Light, which does lead to the pen and paper detailing, but I didn't
understand what's
I didn't see just like you didn't really expand upon the pen and paper notion. Like, how would like the traditional D&D pen and paper stats transfer over? Like, what would do what? And unfortunately, that really knocked your argument down, Dylan. As for the Goonies game, not counting the Kickstarter that we are now officially pushing from the back of our minds after this last reference,
the movie would make it the best.
Jack, how you answered the final question that I gave both helped your argument and hurt your argument, because it's like it helped your argument because like if you have a point, if you just show somebody that has never heard of it before that artwork, they would literally be like, oh wow, so going on a grand adventure looking for treasures. Are you okay there, Suzanne?
Yes.
Okay. On the same token, that just going based on the artwork can give the post notion of you could find that level of mysticism by looking at the cover for Adventure Island. So, I mean, not that it's a bad thing, but I just feel like the way you phrased your last question argument really both helped and hurt. So the toss-up is definitely between Battle Angel Alita and the Goonies. And simply by the fact that this is definitely a personal choice, and forgive me on this, because I know more on the Goonies based on source material and haven't seen much of Battle Angel Alita on how it plays out, either the OVA or the new movie. I'm going to go with the Goonies.
All right. Mac, who do you think won?
I'm gonna be honest. I just kept hearing, Susie, I love you. You're awesome. But all I kept hearing about was more about how beautiful the game is and less about the game itself. And the more you describe your game, don't hate me, the more I fell asleep. So, sorry.
No problem.
Dylan, look, I love Ocean's 11. The way you described it was interesting. I like it. It's awesome. It's a great game. It's something I would love to play. Jack, yours too. Yours is interesting. It's something that's very, very well done. Very, very good. Like I said, I love the Goonies. When you said this, that Data gets a card and you're going towards getting the goal, going else, getting Big Willie's, going to Big One-Eyed Willie's gold. I just felt like I wanted to be a part of the film itself. But the thing, even though I love the Goonies and I love your pitch, I just love Dylan's a little bit more. It just seemed, I like the concept. What Dylan did that I liked was the fact of the concept of the villain being a deck of cards and flipping it, and this is your scenario. Seems like something that I could literally just get my girlfriend and just literally just sat down and just like, we're gonna play this, and she'll have a ball with it. Where Goonies, it seems like something I got to teach her a little bit. Where that seems like something I could just show over and just like, this is Ocean's 11. This is something simple, something done. So with that, by a hair, I had to give it to Dylan. By a slight edge to Dylan.
Alrighty, and Wolf.
Okay, I'm going to go into this whole spiel as somebody full on, admittedly, has never watched Ocean's 11. And I'm going to apologize too for my cat getting attempted feeding. That being said, I have seen both Goonies and I have seen Battle Angel Alita once, many, many moons ago, the original. So I at least know the base concept of Alita, and I definitely know Goonies. As far as both of you guys' arguments, and all of you guys' arguments, both Suzanne and Jack both are leaning on, look at the package, it looks awesome, this is going to attract you into the game. But on the same token, it's a board game. And this is coming as somebody who is a video gamer. Like, that's why I play video games, because if I want to get immersed in this world, I want to see it. So a board game doesn't really give me that. I'm sitting with a whole bunch of people in regular street clothes and pretending, and that doesn't really do a lot for my imagination. However, I also come as a very hardcore role player who has done a lot of online role play, and the text base and the figuring numbers out and stuff like that definitely makes me lean towards Ocean's 11, because that gives me the option to build my character up and kind of get into that role and think, what am I going to do? So as much as I love, of course, I lean towards anime, and I've got the memories of Goonies. It was one of my favorite movies as a kid. I'm kind of leaning towards Ocean's 11 just because of the fact that that brings me back to my childhood role playing, and as much as I don't know jack diddly squat spot about the movie, it feels like something I'd be able to get into. It lets me step into those shoes, and that's what I'm looking for.
All right. After hearing all of these, it is a very hard choice because I love how all of these games sound. I would love for all of these games to get made one day. But I have to make a choice, and it is a tough one. Let's see.
Dylan has 3, right? He wins the point.
Wait, I have 3?
Yeah,
I was gonna say that.
so
I was gonna say
you
that
won.
I will technically be going with Dylan because you do have the most points, but also I enjoy the thought of as like Wolf was explaining, like with your board game, like you can really get into the characters and you can get into different scenarios, and it's just a little bit different, and it's like kind of like you're playing a video game, just board game version, which I really liked about yours. And Jack, you were a very, very close second. Because I loved how you described the game. I loved just like how detailed you went into it, and I very much enjoyed it.
Thanks.
But yes, Dylan, you got the point, and you got the 4th round. Woo!
I will say all of you guys had really good arguments. Jack especially. Holy crap, you went in balls hard every single time, bro.
For that 4th question, you all had like Andrew said, you all had very, very good pitches, and even I wasn't making my judgments lightly.
It was a good round. It was really fun.
I would also like to say, Suzanne, there's actually something a little similar to what you're saying. There was a kind of a LARP thing before the movie was released. That was basically you did puzzles and challenges and set designed by the makers of the film.
I'm kind of like
I want to do that.
Yeah, it's closed down now, but there was something similar. It's called Passport to Iron City. So I mean, it's not like it's a bad idea at all. So
what is the chat saying right now?
Let's see. Let's see. Out truck is just laughing out loud. He asked the question is he says get back to the point. Do all the judges remember the questions? Yeah.
Yeah, I think I should remember my own question.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Yeah. I guess he was talking to me.
Or me.
Yeah.
Could have been me.
No. Maybe. We don't like to get into details, possibly. But let's go to the mixer. All I keep hearing is Goonies. Yes. Thank you. Congratulations, Dylan. Aloha. You know, they're having fun. That's all.
All
and
right.
I'm having fun too.
Yes, it's a very fun match today.
Yeah, it is.
Now, Dylan, you do have the most points with 2, but we do have to break this tiebreak between Jack and Suzanne.
Oh, listen, I actually hate to do this, but I kind of have to go. It's 10 o'clock here, and I have to put my kids to bed. So I would happily concede the point to Suzanne. I think it'll be really fun to see a mother-son fight for the final. So
oh no,
it's okay with everybody. I'm gonna battle. I'm gonna leave this battle here and let these guys fight it out.
I mean, that is technically legal in the rules, so you are free to do so. Jack, thank you so much for being on the show, and we appreciate. Would you like to do a quick plug before you go?
If you'd like to follow me on Twitter, I'm JRSPitBoy2008. I talk movies, sometimes politics, music, mostly nerd stuff, a little bit of politics.
Yeah, he's a Fallout 76 apologist, you know.
No, I do not apologize. I hate Fallout 76. That game can suck a very huge dick. But
we need to get another match with the 3 of y'all because you guys freaking go balls hard.
Yes,
that's another fight. But Suzanne and Dylan, you guys were really awesome. I had a great time fighting with you. I'm so sorry that I can't see the very end, but I would love to do this again sometime. Thank you guys for having me.
No problem.
If you want to catch the end, it'll be on YouTube, Jack.
I absolutely will. I definitely want to see that. So,
all right.
Thanks, everybody.
Goodbye, Jack.
Bye, Jack.
Later, Jack.
Bye.
Ah, that sucks.
If I could say something before we get to this PvP round, then
Yes,
Dylan,
absolutely.
Dylan, I will say when it came to your pitch, would have definitely scored higher if I had definitely gotten how the pen and paper skills translated.
Yeah.
As a D&D nerd from high school, yeah, that kind of is a bit of importance for me.
Well,
I also did, like I've said before, my teen years were on AOL in a Mega Man X D&D. So yes.
Well, see, what won Dylan at that point for me was the fact that I was thinking, which one of these games I could literally just sit down and play with my girlfriend, because she's not a tabletop person, but which one I can literally just get her down and say, we're gonna play this. And I thought Ocean's 11 would be simple.
All right, we have word from our fact checker that we need to start hurrying along. So let us get to the PvP round between Suzanne Mother and Dylan Son.
Oh no!
All right.
Now, just a warning, Suzanne. If Dylan wins, you're not to ground him.
He's a grown-ass man. He's in university, so no.
Wait. Hold the phone. Are you guys actually freaking related?
Yes,
My son.
Yes.
I'm right upstairs.
They're in the
She's
same house.
downstairs.
Yeah.
No wonder he was so quiet. He didn't want to take off his mom.
Oh my.
All righty.
Sorry.
Suzanne and Dylan, for this PvP round, I will ask you a little question. And this question starts with this. I need you to pick a video game character.
Master Chief.
I don't play video games.
Oh, you're.
I'll give you one. Okay.
I know exactly who you'd choose.
She doesn't play video games.
For Suzanne's case, we'll go with a movie character.
Okay. Pick a movie character. Charlie Wilson.
Hmm?
I know. Charlie Wilson.
What?
More.
We're all like, who's this person?
Quick to the Google.
He's the guy who didn't want to do good, but he fell into it and he did good.
So Tom Hanks.
Yes. Thank you, Max.
I mean, he was also
Are
a real
you
person.
talking about
Yeah.
Uncle Charlie?
No, Charlie Wilson, and from Charlie Wilson's War.
Yes.
I seen the movie. Yes.
Oh,
Everyone's like, oh, that movie.
okay.
I know the movie. You
Tom
don't
Hanks.
remember?
I should have chosen something you wouldn't know then.
All right.
But yeah.
Now, I need you to take your character. You guys will have a couple minutes to figure out your argument for this, but I need you guys to take your character and make them a mind flayer from Dungeons and Dragons.
Okay. Can you define?
And I need you to explain to me how you would do this.
Can you define mind flayer? 'Cause I don't know.
Yes, absolutely. A mind flayer is a monstrous humanoid character in Dungeons and Dragons with psionic powers. They usually live in moist caverns and cities that are part of the Underdark, which is a town that's like below ground.
I would have lost on my answer.
Okay, Dilly, who did you pick?
Master Chief.
Okay.
I would have lost on my answer. I would have picked Jet Burton.
And they are also known for making thralls out of other intelligent creatures, as well as feasting on their brains.
If they don't subject them to madness first.
Yes.
Oh, this would be really difficult to distinguish between something else. In
You guys would
Halo.
You guys have a timer of 2 minutes to quickly gather any information that you would like or anything as such.
I'm getting some images. I have no clue how to show them on here, though.
I'm going with the flow. Actually, I'm going to leave for a second.
That's fine. That is totally fine.
How do you throw images up on here?
There's a screen share option, I believe.
Okay.
In the meantime, I will be right back.
Not a problem. You guys have the 2 minutes.
All right, I'm going to go to the restroom because
I have claimed his seats. I win.
Wolf is the new producer. It's official.
He thinks he's going to sit on it.
Yes, it'll be a fun battle. Let's make sure it's
Oh
fun.
boy.
Fun.
All right, guys, you have 1 minute left.
I'm back.
All right, Suzanne, you have 1 minute left.
Thank you. Thank you, one, as we say in the theater world.
Where did Max say he was running off to again, Zach?
I don't know. I'm doing my fact checking already.
Ah, okay.
So I have a new thing to tell people to move along with.
Yes.
Yes. That's new.
And I appreciate it very much.
There's the universal sign of.
That's what my husband was doing. Like, hurry it up, let's go.
Yeah,
Wrap
you
it
see,
up.
to me, that's more like a sarcastic woo. Woo.
No. In
See,
in television, movies, and theater, this is speed it up, wrap it up.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It's not
Alrighty.
derogatory at all.
Time is up. I hope you guys got enough research.
Find the screen share button first.
It's in the center.
It's in the center.
It's in the center.
Oh, there.
Yeah.
This was originally my.
Oh, okay.
Also, they said.
All right, you can sit on me. That's fine. We'll play this game.
I'm loving Odd White Truck D&D Adventurer. He is awesome.
I don't think I did that right. I don't
Yep,
know.
you did.
Yep, we see.
Okay.
We see Master Chief.
Also,
Cool. That was the test. How do I stop it now?
You go back and you select your screen again. I don't know. I don't use it. I don't use this.
Oh, there should be an option. There you go.
Okay.
Also, I want to say White Truck D&D game adventurer. I like what he said. Jack, what a move. M versus Sun. M versus S. Well played, Jack.
I mean, well for a Fault 76 apologist, like I said. Mac, can we like spread that as a rumor just through?
What is a rumor?
That he's a Fallout 76 apologist.
No, we can't spread that as a rumor.
Alrighty, folks. It's time to move along to the PvP. And for this PvP, we will start with Dylan. Dylan, you have 1 minute to tell us why you chose Master Chief to be a Mind Flayer. And your time starts now.
Oh, God. So, Master Chief, savior of all humankind, wonderful. I chose him to be a Mind Flayer because no one would expect it. Just think you're walking around the ship of whatever, say the Infinity. There's the Master Chief. He's all friendly. He's great. And boom, he grows a bunch of tentacles. He gets ya, and you're gone. Somewhere to lower decks of the ship. Then he's back in his suit, and there's no evidence. Until he just slowly grows up a army of followers in the lower decks of the ship.
Wow.
Damn it, that's the second time this shit happens.
I love that.
I love it. It's the visual aid. Oh God. Guys, more visual aid than the grudge.
I have something to say about that, but I'll wait until deliberations are over.
All righty. Suzanne, your minute starts now.
Unlike characters that are already dressed as a superhero, Mind Flayer should be in disguise. Charlie Wilson was a real person who was an overweight, aged man who was, because nobody suspected it, going in and getting all the intel and getting all the stuff to fuck everybody up. Sorry for using that language. and that's what he would use his mind to get all his minions, because he went in there because nobody suspected him to being the smart man in the room. The minions went off and carried off what needed to happen to the soldiers, and that's how we took control in a certain country with a lot of sand. So it's a true story. And again, if we want to go back an hour, it'd make a great game.
All right. Very creative. I love it. Zero, you had something to say?
Yeah, well, I was gonna be pointing this out when everybody was choosing who they thought won, but I guess I could bring it up now if we just want to start with me on that one then.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and do that.
Well, I do think, because hilariously, you both talked about your characters being, mind flayers in disguise, and technically, going back through through my knowledge of D&D, technically, isn't that an illithid? But that's neither here nor there.
Damn it, Zero. I was gonna say that.
But you guys do actually bring up a point, and while Dylan, your argument kind of fell flat on one thing, and that's you say spouts a bunch of tentacles, eat your brain, and then you're done. There's also the fact that technically you're forgetting one very big piece of missing concept art from the Halo series. Does anybody remember what the flood form Spartan looked like for concept art? Zach, if you have to look it up, by all means.
I am. Okay.
That's why I got the other picture.
Because I don't follow Halo, so I don't know.
I didn't want to do exactly the flood because I thought that was too much like it. So I just went with the basic infection form. And then he could go back into
Looks like the infected off StarCraft.
Because that would just be the flood. I didn't want to just do the flood.
That's all right.
But on the same token, it's like if you're going to definitely be describing like a monstrous form, it's like Master Chief of Tentacles just doesn't. It's like it doesn't stick out as something that's supposed to be driving someone to madness.
I mean, because we don't actually know what his face looks like.
We kind of know his eyes.
Okay, yeah, legendary.
Yeah.
We know he's got blue eyes now.
Yeah, and sure, we don't know what his face looks like, but it's like
he's a wrinkly old man. He's your average.
The form is supposed to be able to drive someone to madness, and I think that if you definitely had described Master Chief more as like this hideous monstrosity, almost akin to how the flood form Spartan was supposed to look like, I think your argument would have definitely scored higher. So I'm going with Charlie Wilson on this one.
Hold on, did you do a rebuttal already? That's
what we're doing, right? Isn't that right? What we're doing right now? No, we're doing the PvP.
Zero went and jumped the stoop.
Well, that was my fault. I called on him early.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? It's very hard for us to do the rebuttal.
Yeah.
Mother and son. I think we should go.
I couldn't.
Let's just go straight.
To be fair.
Yeah, that's understandable.
Let's be real, mother and son battle.
Thank you.
Zach, was there any facts that you would like to bring to our attention?
Well, he said technically a mind flayer is from Stranger Things.
But even more technically, they used the name because it was in Dungeons and Dragons.
Boom.
Yes, but I mean, if we're just going by something called the Mind Flayer, that alone, it's
true.
God, I should have just picked Hopper.
I will say that I'm sure Tom Hanks has been in something scary enough to be, you know.
I mean, he was Chainsaw Pumpkins.
That was so good. Yes.
That is true.
David F.
I'm
Pumpkins appears.
Chainsaw Pumpkins.
I mean, Sheriff Woody, when he turns around, truly.
Yeah, that brings me every time. I don't care. That scares me every time. Three times, but I'm
Mac, settle down.
I'm having repressed memories of.
No, you're okay. Zach, are there any more facts? And who do you think won?
I mean, as much as I like the idea of Master Chief melting people's minds out of that just being, I mean, Tom Hanks would just definitely be a more interesting option. I mean, I'm just picturing him as in the, like he's Mr. Rogers right now. Mr. Rogers. I am very interested.
Even I have to give it. Tom Hanks would be the most least suspected.
Do you want me to melt your mind?
Wolf, who do you think won?
Well, first of all, as far as Master Chief goes, one, I've seen enough hentai to know where that's going.
Oh shit.
Wolf, seen or made?
No.
I had to.
Wolf,
I'm sorry. He said tentacles, and I was like, nope.
Mac, I am the one with the speed up option.
Anyway, to be, as far as in my personal opinion, if I were to like think which one of the two of them is safer side by side, I'm definitely gonna go with whoever Tom Hanks played. I don't know the guy's name. Because I'm just seeing this regular old guy in a suit wander around minding his own business, whereas Master Chief is like, I'm going to stay the heck away from you because you are some kind of soldier or cop, and I do not need to mess with you right now, sir. So he would definitely be stranger danger, staying away from you. I'll stick closer to the normal looking dude and then probably get my brains eaten either way. So, I mean, she's at 100% on. You do not suspect the average Joe, polite little chubby guy, because nobody suspects. As a fat person myself, nobody suspects the fat person. Just saying.
Me too.
From personal experience, nobody expects you to be the problem maker. So
Exactly.
Except when
no one
pies
expects
go
the Wolfie
missing.
Inquisition. Sorry. So yeah, I'm going with Tom Hanks too.
All right, and Mac.
Look, as a person who actually watched Charlie Wilson's War and I actually watched the damn movie, I can go ahead and tell you that, the flood, what the fuck, no. I'm saying I already know that if I see Master Chief, it's already like, okay, yeah, no. But with Charlie Wilson, I mean, he was a congressman that partied. He's the everyday man. He was a person that actually tried to help cultivate the war. I mean, this is a man who was among us. And
he was a reluctant mind flayer.
Yeah, exactly. But like I said, when you look at the mind flayer, he's got to be one of us. You got to be somebody that you don't expect. And when I see Charlie Wilson played by Tom Hanks, I can see that person being the mind flayer, something that I can trust. So
I concede that it's Tom Hanks.
Yeah, it's Tom Hanks. I'm going with Charlie Wilson. It's Charlie Wilson. Yeah.
All righty. And before I say the winner, I would like to bring up that a mind flayer does have a different variant where they do just take over somebody and then they just pretty much live as that somebody, like a symbiote. It's actually close to the name of these is symbionts, but it's basically where they take over the person and then they act as that person to gain trust and such.
So
basically, And in which case, I also agree. I will go with Charlie Wilson because honestly, I really wouldn't expect Charlie Wilson to be a mind flayer. Where Master Chief, I might say I could expect being a mind flayer or some sort of weird alien.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, with
he is already a weird alien. He's like a forerunner thing now.
I mean, with Charlie Wilson, he'll start talking, and you'd be like, "Oh yeah, it's him," and I was like, "Oh," and then Master Chief starts saying something. It's like, "Who the fuck are you?"
And with that, Suzanne is our winner of the tabletop edition of Gamer Grudge.
Woo! The second edition.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations! We are so happy for you. Woo!
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
All right. Wow, that was a lot.
We need a rematch with Jack, though.
We do.
Yes.
We will make sure we do that next time we do Tabletops Part 3.
I want to do a video game one because I know so much more about video games.
We'll get you. Oh, believe me.
Hey, next season's coming around.
If we do any more Mega Man X episodes, I'm down.
Well, we got you. We know that.
I am a Halo person. I have every legendary statue, and of course, I'm a Pokemon person.
Well,
I see with the giant Snorlax, sir.
Yes, I love Pokemon.
We'll follow GG. We'll follow us at GG Game Fixes, and we'll make sure we'll get you on season 6.
Awesome.
All right.
Well, thank you so much for having us.
I see you, giant Snorlax,
Yes,
and I raised you a shiny Drifloon.
Oh, that's awesome! Wait,
Suzanne, as the winner, would you like to do your plugs first?
Our plugs are the same.
Yeah. We are Nerds Garage. We are a platform and the studio that does reviews and we invent games and we are about being fair and kind and nice.
All righty.
Except when we fight.
Question, do you have like a Twitter or anything?
At Nerds Garage, and it's nerds with a Z.
Yes, I see behind you on your stuff.
Oh, yeah. And that is our Instagram, and our game reviews and our video game reviews are at nerdsboardgaming.com. And that as well is with a Z because I'm Suzanne.
As somebody who has a Z in the house, I understand that.
Next, Dylan, do you have the same plug you would like to repeat or any different plugs that you would like to say?
You can catch us on YouTube at Nerds Garage with a Z. We do D&D every Sunday, and whenever I have free time, I edit AMVs.
Oh, I love you.
You have a husband.
I know. But I love AMVs, hon. I do.
All righty.
And we love you. Thank you for having us.
No
yes,
problem.
absolutely.
Angie, you're so patient. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I know it got heated.
Oh, yes.
That is an understatement.
Believe it, it's been worse.
That's how he did. We were thinking about grabbing marshmallows.
Yeah, and I had graham crackers.
Me and Zero were passing out Hershey's Nuggets to each other. Like, here you go.
I was like, what the heck?
No, you want heated, you see me and Mac fight on the last Mega Man one.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I will look it up.
Yeah,
I mean, to be fair, I also flambéed Mac once during that X episode.
I will look that up too.
Based on me.
Zach?
This is what you get for asking me to judge, dude.
I am on here sometimes.
That's a great plug, Zach.
Great plug.
Great job, Zach.
I've been
job.
playing a lot of Cultist Simulator because future planning is always a good decision.
All right. Zero and Wolfie, your plugs, please.
You can find us both here, myself in the background with these lovable goofballs, and
Unfortunately, he's got a second shift job now, so it's kind of hard for him to be here enough. He had a stomach bug today, so.
yeah. But you can find me on Twitter at Crimson Shooter. Feel free to shoot me a question.
With a Z.
Yeah, with a Z. Feel free to.
Yay, Z!
Oh, that's awesome.
Or anything about GF1 Studios in question. If you need it to get to Mac, I will definitely forward it. You can find my wife, Wolf Shadow.
I can handle my own stuff, hon.
I can handle it.
Just shush your roll for a second there, bro. Okay, I got this. So I am Wolf Shadow. I am on Twitter, on Instagram, Tumblr, all under the name of Wolf and Wings Shop. Wings with an S, not a Z. I'm a crafter. I play a lot of video games when I get a chance to. I have somebody who kind of hogs a lot of my stuff. My Twitter is my main account right now. I do post a lot of civil rights stuff. I also post a lot of Mega Man X stuff. That is my bread and butter right there. I also occasionally post pictures of craft projects, and we're eventually going to be posting like conventions we'll be at. We're based in Syracuse, New York, so we'll be around the upstate New York area. So if you're in the area and you're going to be at a con we're going to be at, come say hi. So.
All right. And Mac.
Oh, dang. Okay. Guys, I'm Matt Poole. I'm the founder and owner of the Game Fixers channel. Please make sure you like, share, and subscribe to this channel. I want to thank all y'all for coming on. I love everybody that comes on. I always say I love everybody. I love everybody here. Except you, Zach. You can go screw yourself. Not nah, Zach. I love you.
And me and Mac are like already buddies because we're both Mega Man fans. So.
Exactly. But I want to thank y'all for coming by, guys. I know this is a long episode, but guys, let's be honest here. This is going to be probably the last stream for probably a week, right? We got
yes.
I think
at least a week.
At least a week, guys. This is going to be the last stream for a week. Well, because we got another episode, and that's coming very soon because it's just a fight before the fight, which is going to be probably the. I am looking it up right now. Where's the calendar?
It will be posted promptly.
Yes, it will be posted soon.
It will be on the 18th, which is going to be our Monday fight. We will be off for at least at the time being, we're going to be off for a week. Oh, yeah. A week. We're going to be off for a week, people. So guys, get ready to come back. We're shortening it down. We're getting ready to wrap this season up. But this has been a great season so far. Great season 6, a great season 5. I love doing this. Last time we did this was me, Cal, and Nicole, and it was Digital Dice, and it was so fun. And I wanted to do it last season, like not season 4. I want to say season 3, but we couldn't do it because Digital Dice hung up on us. And I really was pushing for this episode, pushing for tabletop. And I'm so glad I got Susan, and I got to meet with them, and I got Jack, and I was like, we're gonna do this. I was like, we're gonna get this. And I'm so happy that we got this because this is so much fun, learning so much about tabletops, and it's just so fun. And I just wanted to make this show not only for video gamers or for tabletop gamers, for all gamers alike. And that's just
Mac, your other plugs.
Damn, you're trying to cut me off. Okay.
No, I'm not meaning to. It is just I'm getting word that we need to.
I got you.
Class.
All right, but anyway, guys, I want to thank y'all for watching. Please make sure you go watch our other shows like Is It Rotten? Let's Make It Better, the movies coming out soon. And also make sure you go watch GF15 is going to come up. We're going to get another episode. And make sure you come to PAX South. Come to PAX South in San Antonio. We will have a live episode of Gamer Grudge where we will give out a prize. I'll give a prize. I'm going to find some way to get a prize. So if you want to come out, you want to show your might on Gamer Grudge, and you want to win something naturally. And also, Susan, you get something. You get a brand new car. Yeah, no, there's no Hot Wheels. I was just playing around with you. But we don't got nothing.
It was very fun. Thank you for having us.
This was awesome.
No problem. And yeah, I'm gonna end it right here because Andrew wanted to quit.
No, you're fine. I just also wanted to mention that you guys can get a hold of him at GG Game Fixer on Twitter. You can find him at The Game Fixers on Instagram, and you can go check out the GF1 shop at GF1 or at spreadshirt.com/GF1-shop, where we have a bunch of merch. We got t-shirts, mugs, backpacks, and all kinds of fun stuff. So please go check that out for us. And you can find me, Angelic Sin, hanging out here with the Game Fixers, all kinds of fun stuff. And you can find me on Xbox with this gamer tag that's in the corner of my screen. And you can also find me on Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, TikTok, and YouTube, all at the same name. Alrighty, and that will wrap it up, folks. So thank you all so much for joining us today, and we hope to see you guys in our next episode. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye. Oh shoot, we gotta go.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dylan, and thank you, Suzanne, who already left. But thank you guys for joining the show. We hope you guys had fun, and we will try and get you on in our next episodes.
Awesome. We want to come back.
I mean, just a suggestion: if you guys ever want to like retool this idea for like as something that as specifically has to do with tabletop, that would not be